Christmas, there's geekdom in the air. The comic shops and toy stores are crowded everywhere. Each dork and dweeb and doofus does their holiday thing. They form a nerdy chorus and they all begin to sing. All I want for Christmas is my emotion chip. Emotion chip. Emotion chip. All I want for Christmas is my emotion chip, so I can have a Merry Christmas. Androids cannot feel merry, not to mention loving or affection. If I do not get my emotion chip, I will start an insurrection. Got run over by a reindeer on his way to fight the Dominion War. Now he's drinking down his Christmas blood wine in the cursed halls of Sto-vo-kor.
Said the barkeep to his brother Rum, do you hear what I hear?
Translated from ancient Bajoran. Oh, Jadzia. Gold God killed you in the 6th season. Jeez, what a putz. That's what she gets for wearing a red wedding dress on a Star Trek show. It's a fanboy Christmas at Renfests and conventions. We're sending all the fruitcakes to alternate dimensions. Bashir walked into the bar. What would you like, Quark said. Bashir responded, eggnog, and Nog got egged in the head. Ow! Buffy the Vampire Slayer made a really crappy film. Luke Perry and Paul Rubens made the average viewer ill. All of the Warner Brothers gave it a Tim Burton twist. Now watch her kill on TV, showing off her ample acting ability. Angel, you're a studly guy. Watch out, girls, he'll suck you dry. Oh, Mulder and Scully are on my rooftop. What have they come here to see? UFO reindeer? Is it Saint Nick? No, it's a big conspiracy now. 'Cause we need little X-Files. We'll be overjoyous when we fill our stockings full of paranoia. So just send the Man in Black home, because they annoy us. We need a little X-Files now. Now my DM is a curmudgeon. He trapped me in a dungeon. I hope these dice will save my troll. Let it roll, let it roll, let it roll. Now you may think my life is tragic, 'cause I play with cards of magic that cost me my eternal soul. Let it roll, let it roll, let it roll. It's a fanboy Christmas from Roswell to Missouri. We're wishing happy Kwanzaa to Lando and Uhura. Our Jewish friends have opened the gifts that we did buy 'em. The brand new kosher transformer, Optimus L'Chaim. Hercules and Xena, Hercules and Xena, Hercules and Xena, Yolis Gabrielle. Hercules and Xena, Hercules and Xena, Hercules and Xena, Yolis Gabrielle. Herc is a demigod, Xena has a killer body. Yolis died and Gabby cried 'cause Joxer is a clod. Oh, Tribble, 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 you're made of fluffy fur. Tribble, 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 we love to hear you purr. Tribble, 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 you're really just a pain. Tribble, 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 you ate up all our grain.
Get on your Tontonica, it's Star Wars Hanukkah. You can hang out with Qui-Gonica on the Millennium Falconica with a Wookiee named Chewbacca. Please tell me Obi-Wanica. So go see episode Wanica and have a happy, happy, happy Star Wars Hanukkah.
It's a fanboy Christmas, the temperature is nipply, so throw aliens on the fire with that new clone of Ripley. The two stars are all getting along. The Dementites and Dementoids are all listening to this song. Woo! Danger, danger, young Will Robinson. For Dr. Smith is coming, Will Robinson. I know you have been searching for Babylon. You're hungry, have some fish heads, eat them up, yum. Eat them up, yum. Eat them up, yum. Linoleum.
Yeah!
I saw Marvin kissing Santa Claus underneath the doorway late last night.
Please enjoy your trip through this door. Enjoy tonight's film, It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a wonderful life. Don't talk to me about It's a Wonderful Life.
Christmas, Christmas time is here. I hit the toy store each year. Slip the Stalker 820. Action figures all for me. At convention sell the girth. I charge 12 times what they're worth. Gee, this Christmas time is swell. Until all the little kids who want to buy the toys just so that they can play with them all get together and hunt me down and catch me and kill me, and then I'll burn in hell. It's a fanboy Christmas, and outside it's a blizzard. So curl up by the fire with your copy of Wizard. Lara Croft's new Yule Raider, it just might oversex us. And Wolverine is here to wish us all a Merry Xmas. Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile broke its wheel and the Joker got away. Penguin spewed Riddler's food in Two-Face's cup. When Catwoman soiled her litter, Alfred cleaned it up. Silent Bob, Jay and Bob. Hatchet Man is their job. Just to pot profits with some weird quirks. Just to mall rats hassling clerks. Always chasing a need. And smoking snoochie boochies. God rest ye merry Pokemon inside your Pokeballs. Team Rocket, Jesse, James, and Meowth are here to wreck your halls. No decorations will they hang, nor carols will they sing. They're too busy Poke Christmas card collecting, stealing all that they can get from Burger King. Should Voyager ever get home and again see Earth's sunshine, then you'll find me out on the town with my date 7 of 9. It's a fanboy Christmas, no time to dilly-dally. Get all the geeks together, cause it's time for the finale. On the 12th day of Christmas, my fangirl gave to me 12 LARPers LARPing, 11 Filkers filking, 10 apes from Deep Space Nine, Doctor Who's 8, sweet transvestite 7 of 9, 6 Ewoks dancing, 5 Cardassian lights.
There are 4 lights!
4 Starfleet captains, 3 Star Wars prequels, 2 protocol droids.
And there can be only one
Sci-Fi Channel on my TV. We wish you a fanboy Christmas. We wish you a fanboy Christmas. We wish you a fanboy Christmas and a Trekkie New Year. And I heard him exclaim as he flew out of view, live long and prosper, and may the force be with you.
Raspberry bless us, everyone!
Push the button, frankincense.
white ships that I've been dreaming of. And I'd like to swim beside you, getting dizzy in your wake, getting close enough to touch you, getting brave enough to take you into my arms and bring you down to be with me. But I can't do that thing anymore. I can't be the thing I was before. Maybe I am better off alone, because I crush everything and I crush everything and I crush everything. My body's strong, but my will is weak. I got pretty nice arms, but I hate my beak. And the dolphins are all phonies. They seem nice enough at first. They pretend to be your friends until they see you at your worst, and then they leave you without a word. They swim away. So I can't do that thing anymore. I can't be the thing I was before. Maybe I am better off alone, because I crush everything and I crush everything and I crush everything. And everything I want I take, and everything I love I break. And every night I lie awake. Did the stars come out? Did the world spin round? Does it matter that much when you're 10 miles down? And in the light that filters down into my giant yellow eye, I can see the sails unfolding, stretching wide against the sky. And I forgive them, I forgive and I let go. 'Cause I can't do that thing anymore. Can't be the thing I was before. Maybe I am better off alone, because I crush everything and I crush everything and I crush everything. And I crush everything and I crush everything and I crush everything. You float above in the pretty white ships that I am dreaming of.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, introducing the Warcraft champion of the world, the Gengar! I'm a level 60, you're a level 2. what everybody's been waiting for. How about a little Ganker guitar solo? That's the way we do it, baby. And now, for the dramatic finale. Get ready. So you're in the alliance, while I am in the horde. Hope you don't mind if I see fit to cut your spinal cord. You know there's no escaping, and that may make you frown. But nobody is safe, you see, when the Ganker is in town. 'Cause I'm the Ganker, yeah, and I'm coming for you. I'm the Ganker and I'm coming for you. Ganker, yeah, and I'm coming for you. I'm the Ganker and I'm coming for you. Ganker, yeah, and I'm coming for you. I'm the Ganker, baby. Ganker, yeah, and I'm coming for you.
This is Kitten Features, and you're listening to Show X Live with Ken in his student accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wade in his white windowless van. Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Show X on VTWProductions.com. You listen live at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT on this Sunday, the 18th of August, 2019. I'd like to welcome everybody to the show, and welcome you, Ken. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey, I'm good. I'm in a good mood today. I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling accomplished and proud, and I'm in a good mood.
Good mood is a good way to be. Well, that's good to hear. And so with that, let's go ahead and kick things off with a little bit of
Dysfunctional deviations.
Hey, all right. So what's been going on that's got you in such a good mood today, Ken?
Oh, I don't know if I want to shoot right into it. I feel bad because it's like maybe should we preempt this? Should we build up? Should we have some sort of drum roll? I don't know.
Well, I mean, feel free to share as you choose, or to, just lead people through your week. Whatever you feel like is the best way to talk about what's got you with such a grin on the face.
Yeah, let's do reverse chronological, because that way I get to save it for when more people jump on, and when and we're going to build up to it. This week let's see. Yesterday, we went to go see Foo Fighters. Me and Ken Features.
Oh, hey!
So that's no small thing. So we kind of planned it really poorly though. Basically, yeah. So basically, we had some time put aside so we could go do this, because we went with my parents, so it was and some of their friends. So there was 7, 8 of us, and it was an outside festival type thing. So you had to wear wellies or big boots or something to make sure that you're safe, because it was also forecast to rain all day. So we show with our water gear and everything, and we put aside 4 or 5 hours thinking that'll be fine. That'll be enough time to leave the pups alone in the house, and we can go and enjoy the Foo Fighters, and maybe one band beforehand. But I did look up beforehand. I thought, it's wise to always check these things to make sure you're going to the right place or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So I googled it, and all that I could find about it was the ticket selling page. And since my dad had bought the tickets, I couldn't see anything else. All I saw was tickets sold out, starts at this time. I was like, all right, well then, and here it is, right? So I was like, okay, well that's where I'm going. That's fine. So we went along for that time, and we got in, and everything was fine. And it was quickly told to us, so which of the several early bands are you looking forward to? How many are there? And they were like, oh, there's 5. And we're like, oh, so there's 5 pre-bands before the show starts. Okay, so that explains why we're here at 1:30. So Foo Fighters didn't come on till 8:00, right? Yeah. So. And like I said, we planned to leave the dogs alone for 5 hours max. So that was 6 hours of pre-show, before the actual show. So before I describe the full event, we did watch a lot of the pre-show bands, and the first one, I remember the name because it was such a weird name, was Hot Milk.
Okay.
And they felt like a Paramore ripoff plus one male singer on top. They felt very, I don't know. I don't know about you, but I get irritated. I don't mind bands using background music that's clearly from a CD or whatever when they literally can't do it live, right? If you have some DJ stuff going on and there's no DJ in your band, why would you do DJ stuff live, right? So fine. That's a backing track, that's keyboard in the background. And clearly the female singer was definitely live because she screwed up a couple times. Whatever, that's fine. She's not. They're not the lead show. They're supposed to screw up a couple times. They're effectively amateurs, right? So that's fine. But what I really disliked was that I remember at one point they were so busy concentrating on their showmanship, because there's a crowd of up to 35,000, right? So it's a big thing. Admittedly, they only had about 3,000 because it was the start. But they were doing a lot of showmanship. But instead of playing guitar, you know how you play guitar like this when you're strumming? They were doing this thing. I always find that maybe I'm just a really crap guitarist, but if I'm playing guitar and I'm trying to strum chords like this, it's horrible. It's it can be done, but it's tiring and it's difficult and it just looked clearly they weren't actually playing it, because I noticed at one point, again, for showmanship, they were all doing this jumping at the same time thing. But I noticed none of them were playing guitar, but we could still hear the guitar.
Oh, no.
So is it just singing this live? Is the rest of it? Is the drummer live? I don't even know anymore. Well, I just lost faith in the band.
I've seen a lot of bands and a lot of groups, because you'll see it often, right, with hip-hop groups and such, where they're basically just doing vocals, and they'll have pretty much just the music behind, right? And they'll have just a regular music track. It is a challenge when you're doing a whole band to have that, because you would expect, I've seen other bands do it, like you said, where there's a part that is done by a keyboardist or some digital effect, and they'll keep that running, but they'll have it done professionally where every track is separate, and that way you can play over it however you want. But at the same time,
I didn't mind at all, right? I didn't mind the fact that they were doing the singing live. I was hoping they did the guitars and drums live because that's the bare minimum. I'm sorry if it's difficult. I'm sorry if it's hard. I'm sorry if it takes a lot of time to get ready for that. But we pay a lot of money for tickets. I mean, there are literally hundreds of thousands of pounds pouring into that place that day. 35,000 people with £180 a ticket or something like that. That's literally hundreds of thousands up to the millions, including drinks, right? Which, by the way, £4 or £5 a beer. So, that's $7 a beer. That's crazy. And plus, if you got a vodka or anything, it tasted like water, and it was, 4 times as expensive as elsewhere.
Yeah.
So, you feel like you're paying for a real show, and if they're just fair enough, if you do, like I said, the keyboard tracks or the special effects that can't be done live, fine, play those in the background. That makes sense. But for God's sakes, try your hardest, right? It's not just about watching you lip sync. It's about you actually performing live. It's the show as well as the music. You need both. Now, I've been to concerts where the opposite's happened, right? I went to a Smashing Pumpkins concert. I've seen them live 4 times, actually. Nice. The first time, they put in so much effort. It was a real show, and the music was great. They were clearly playing live. I was right at the front and watched it all. It was clearly live. Same with the second time, but not quite as good. Third time, it was extremely mediocre. And the last time, they were not putting on a show whatsoever. It was clearly live music, but it was like Billy Corgan and the band just gave up at that point. They realized they weren't going anywhere with their recent oomph in the last couple of albums. So he was spitting in the audience and everything. It was a horrible experience.
Oh man!
But it was like you can tell that it was live music at least.
Yeah.
But my point is, you do need both the live music and the showmanship and the caring and enjoying it. These guys just had the showmanship. The music was okay, but there's a lot of backing track and stuff. I just really wasn't feeling it.
Gotcha.
I vaguely remember listening to a band called the Val NTs or something. It was Valentine's is what they were called effectively, but they had it acronymized kind of, and half of it was kind of an acronym, but when you said the acronym, it sounded like Valentine's. I can't remember how they spelled it. It was an all-girl band minus the drummer, who was a dude, and they were actually pretty good, but they were just rather they did a good job of playing their music, but their music was mediocre, right? It didn't really stand out. I was quite impressed by the guitarist, and it was all right. I wouldn't pay to go see them, but it was okay. Then there was this guy. Oh my god, I have no idea what he was called. Oh, it was so bad. I'm glad I'm not actually saying his name because he doesn't deserve you to search him on Google. It was this duo, 2 dudes.
Okay.
One of them was a musician and was there for his talent, not for his looks, which is fine.
Okay.
The other guy was, again, the opposite. He was there. Apparently, he wrote the songs. He was the lead singer, and he was the talent. Not talent as in skill talent, but the talent as in something to look at, right? He showed up wearing nothing but boxers, so, briefs. He didn't. I wouldn't say it was a six-pack, but he was quite toned, and, he clearly works out a lot. And all of the music was basically him just hitting a snare like this while screaming something incoherent into the microphone. But the camera made a point of zooming in over and over into his chest and genital sort of area. And it was all sort of it was just selling his body. I was like, this is... I wouldn't be okay with it if this was a girl. I'm not okay with it as a guy either. But we were there with 6 girls and me and my dad, right?
And the girls were loving it?
Well, about half of them were like, this is great. The other half were like, come on, right? I'd say about a third of the audience were like, Homer Simpson it, but the rest were sort of like, this is uncomfortable.
Okay.
And not enjoyable to listen to. It's not music at that point. And, that thing exists out there for a reason, but I just don't really feel its place in music. I don't know. For me, I like to enjoy listening to music, not watching the person play the music. But maybe I'm weird. So overall, most of the pre-show music was pretty mediocre to poor. There was one band that I enjoyed, but there wasn't much more to say about it. So the Foo Fighters finally came on at 8 o'clock. We've been here for 6.5 hours at this point. The rain had been pouring down on and off. I got sunburnt as well because it was like mediocre bursts. It was like bursts of showers and then sun, and then showers and sun, as is Scotland. So it was like a grassy area. It was Bellhuven Park or something it's called.
Okay.
Bellhuve Park. It's just this grassy area that's just covered with grass. And then the monsoon poured down, and there's 35,000 people stamping around there. Suddenly, it became a pigsty. Like there was mud like this thick that you could squelch into. Thankfully, we were dressed for it, but there were so many people there who were just wearing trainers and shorts, and they were just like,
became a bit of a mess.
Yeah. So we stayed for one Foo Fighters song, and then we rushed home because we were just so worried about the pups.
Really? Oh no.
Yeah. It was such a shame, and we were the only people leaving when Foo Fighters came on. Like everybody was looking at us like, "Where are you going? The show just started. We've been here for hours, and you're leaving."
That's funny because normally with the headliner, what you'll often see is people come in, and
people were pouring. Yeah.
That they'll maybe miss some of the earlier ones, and then they'll come in and do a bunch more. And watch the rest of them. So you're right. Most people look at you like, "What were you thinking? What are you doing, Foo Fighters?"
Yeah. So So it was fun. We had a lot of fun because the people we're with more than anything. We had fun with my parents and their friends, and we enjoyed chilling out. And we danced around. We drank some, and we had fun. Right, and that was all fine. So we enjoyed it. But it was our own fault not planning it correctly, not learning the times properly, and so on. Otherwise, we'd have gone somewhere to look after the dogs when we came home later.
That's unfortunate to hear, but interesting in the sense because I love going to bands where you have multiple bands that day, like festival type things or the whole weekend, such like that. I love going to things like that because you tend to see a lot of different groups. But when I'm going for a headliner, especially, right, I like to know kind of when they're going to come on because I've gotten burned before at a few concerts. And I've only I've never done like some, like you were saying, kind of out in the field type concerts. I've done ones out in parking lots or bigger venues like that. The only one we have
it's a really big thing here.
I can imagine. Well, the thing around Denver is we have so many venues that the closest we have is like when I go to Fiddler's Green or something like that. It's and whatever it's officially called right now, but stage and then a set of seats and a whole back area that's a hill full of grass. That's the general admission seats. And so you kind of just sit down on the grass there, and so that's kind of a similar experience. But in reality, what most of our venues are either regular indoor ones or our nice outdoor ones are a couple of the stadiums that are outdoors, like the soccer stadium, football stadium, and then Red Rocks, which is the big, really beautiful venue. And I've gone through those, but those tend to have seats and things like that you're part of, so it's not really just out in the fields. And unfortunately, right now in Colorado, we don't have as many festivals going on right now. The one that I had for years was Riot Fest, and that one, when it started here in Colorado area, was actually out east, kind of what you're talking about, in the middle of farmer fields and stuff like that. And then since when they came, and now they don't come here anymore, but they had rented out one venue over at the the Coliseum or such area, where there's a whole bunch of it's normally a Western stock complex type thing where they'd have shows with animals, things like that, where like farmer type things,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where it's some rodeo, but also where people are showing cows and sheep and goats and things like that for purchase and stuff, and state fair kind of things like that. Yeah, farmer things, but for cattle and such. And I've been there. That's also where we actually had DreamHack. The one year I went for DreamHack here, that they had. So it's a kind of venue they'll use for multiple things. But they had the concert there one time and a bunch of stages like that. Another time in the parking lot of the football stadium. But other than that, no, I haven't gone to really any of the festivals like you're talking about. And there's some I'd like to, because there's some big ones out in California stuff I want to go to that are weekend ones. Granted, those are also weekend events, not just a single day with multiple headliners. In fact, I don't think I've done a single concert that I've enjoyed where there were more than maybe 3 pre-bands or something like that.
Right, that's kind of the problem. So here it's quite a big thing to have like a festival. Like Tea in the Park's a big thing in the UK, or Glastonbury, both very big festivals where it's a weekend and it's in a big field and people bring tents and stuff and there's lots of drugs and drink and everybody has a great time, and I'm just like, that sounds like hell. Like I want to go out and enjoy a concert, and honestly I like to sit. at a concert. Admittedly, in my teenage years, I used to enjoy like throwing people around at Rammstein. Right, that was fun. We enjoyed that. You throw each other around. That was half the fun. But now I'm at an age, maybe I'm just getting boring. Is that I want to just sit and relax and enjoy it. I'd much rather sit and watch a band from afar. Like I did that with Korn. I've done that with Limp Bizkit. I've done that with like a few big bands recently that are generally quite heavy, but I still thoroughly enjoy from above. And it's still like, this is great. But it's also, relaxing, and I don't feel like I'm, getting covered in 16 people's sweat. It's just horrible for me. And also, never mind going outside when you're getting stupidly muddy, and you absolutely cannot sit down anywhere, no matter what, and you never go to the bathroom because you don't want to even see what it looks like. Never mind smell it. So yeah, we had good fun, right? But these kind of concerts are not my thing. I'd rather be pretentious than sit at a concert in the future. But it was good fun.
I understand that. No, I do understand, and it's one of the jokes I make about getting old, in essence, because younger me would no problem stand up the whole time, bouncing up and down and things like that for hours on end, and let my ears ring and all that. Older me still loves to dance around and things, but at the same time, if it's chill music that you can just kind of like hang out to, I absolutely appreciate just sitting. It's actually one of the reasons I love Red Rocks, because it's just got the benches, and what most people will do is they just sit until either the headliner comes up, or if it's a real dance kind of thing, they'll jump up for a song or two and then just sit. And a lot of people just kind of hang out until the big headlines hit, and then they stand up for those things. And so it's a much more relaxing, enjoyable experience to me.
Cool. Yeah, I get that. That's fair enough. We did the festival and stuff, and that was fun. That was yesterday. I was supposed to go out on a big walk up a hill today, but we failed to do that because the weather was horrible. And also I was kind of hungover, so I wasn't so sad that the weather was bad. Now the big news that I've been trying to.
Well, do we want to do that, or do you want me to go into what I've been up to, and then?
Yeah, sure. Let's leave it to the very end. Yeah, let's leave it to the end of this section.
That works. All right, so for me, dysfunctional deviations this week, what have I been up to? So I've kind of last minute got to go out and celebrate, I would say, I won't call it the end of summer, because that's not accurate, but we are in the last couple of weeks of when, normal primary schools and stuff like that are out of session. Kids are just starting to go back to school and start their next year. As well as basically there's a fixed schedule here in Colorado for all of the outdoor activities, especially pools and community things like that, where they tend to be open from our holidays in May until our holiday in September. And so it goes from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And that's when basically all the pools are open. So that means we're only basically another week and a half away or so from Labor Day when everything shuts down. And
right, okay.
One of the things that I went to my pool a couple times this year, not nearly as many as I used to. I do miss when I used to work shift work and my days would kind of float throughout the week. One of the things I miss the most about that, because changing schedule sucked, but when you're off during the middle of the week, you could actually go do some of these events and not run into people. And so whenever I was off during the week, I would naturally just run to the pool and spend the morning for like a couple hours laying out, get some sun, swim a few laps, something like that. And it was wonderful because the only people there were like the housewives in the neighborhood and a couple of the young kids and things like that. But otherwise it was very chill. Whereas if I were to go to the pool right now up the block, it would be packed with people. Absolutely packed. And so for me, that's a bit of a turnoff. And same thing when I go skiing, when I would go to skate parks, any of my outdoor activities or places that are public, where you run into a lot of people. And so I missed that aspect. But one of the things I was able to accomplish this year, right now, this last weekend, is on Friday. It was like a not perfect storm per se, but the right timing to kind of do a last hurrah. One of the things we have here in Colorado is, and I always tell the story as being what brought me to it, but I heavily rah-rah support the local water park that we have. Bigger water park. It's called Waterworld in Colorado, in Denver. You can look it up very easily. And I first learned of it because it's been open in here as long as I've been in the state, so at least 20 years. And when I first started going was while I was in the military, because I had some reason randomly been watching Travel Channel. And on it, they had a special where they do top 10s kind of thing. And they had top 10 water parks in the United States. And on that list, number 8, I believe at the time, was Waterworld in Denver, Colorado. And so I was just kind of like, wait, what? That's here? And so I watched the thing and was like, okay, I want to go check this out. And started going to Waterworld and was quite impressed. It's one of these things that's just kind of a local gem. And it's something that if you don't know where it's at, you kind of miss it going by. But it's a really, really good park.
Wow, okay.
And even though it's as old as it is, they've updated, kept it going, and it's just a lot of fun. So the challenge is, like I said, is normally with the work week, I can only go on weekends, stuff like that, and that at Waterworld's just not fun. Because then you're running into like any amusement park, lines and just people everywhere and things like that. And so we used to always take off on, whenever I would go with some of my groups on like a Monday or a Thursday or something like that, we'd make sure to take a day off to try to go. Unfortunately, nobody was really prepped for it, and we realized we were running towards the end of the year, so one of my workmates, a gal that I work with, was really keen on checking it out because she's not gone here in Denver. And so she was like, hey, let's go. Let's make sure this happens. And then she was out of town for vacation and then came back and then was out doing a work event all week. And so we were kind of like, look, if we're going to do this, we need to go because this weekend is the last, or this weekend and next are the last full weekends it's open. But essentially during the week, this next week coming up, it's closed Monday through Friday. As most of the staff are kids, and so a lot of them are gone, and they're starting schools, so they're only staffing it over the weekend. So this last week was the last week that they had it open during the weekdays, but it was limited rides, so they actually closed down some of the things because, again, less staff. And they focused on closing down primarily the little kids area because there's less younger people going that are in elementary school, things like that. So we made time to go. I posted out on social media saying who wants to go. Had a couple friends say let's all do this and show up. So there were essentially 4 of us. Well, was it 4 or 5 total? I think it was 5 total or so at the way, but for the most part 4, which is the perfect group for Waterworld because they have several rides that range from single slides or things you do as a group in individual slides to 2-person tubes to one ride that's a 3-person and then several that are 4-person. That's kind of the limit. They have several rides that are like 4-person tubes that can all go together. And so it worked out that we were able to all ride on the events, equal and not have to like switch out groups or anything. But we were able to go, and it was one of the best times I've had at Waterworld, minus some of my favorite rides being closed on that side of the park, because there was essentially nobody there. It was a Friday. Most of the kids were in school. The only other kids that were there, I think, are the ones that were starting school this coming week. And so it was just nobody, essentially. And we were able to go, and the parking lot never even got like half full. Nice. Set up stuff and take a table to pull our stuff at. It just all worked out wonderfully. And we were, I think, there's a couple rides in there that are a bit of a surprise. And I love taking new people there because they do more on some of these rides than people would expect for a water ride. They'd expect just to be a slide, but they actually provide a bit of a show in some parts. Considered a very not Disney, but Disney attraction in the sense that there's actually some things to see on some of the rides. Not just to go down a slide, which is really cool. And it's something that they hide it in such a way that if you've never been on it, you'd have no idea. And so I was able to take several of these groups, a couple new people on them, and go down some of my favorite rides where they were just like, what? But it was great because normally these rides are, to me, entertaining enough that I'd happily wait in line for an hour to go on it once. But
the fact when it's empty, it's like...
Yes, the first time we rode an app, and I had to remind a couple of the people in the park because they're tempted to take, who are new, take their nephews when they come in over Labor Day weekend, over the weekend to go. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, just remember, it's going to be busy because that's the last weekend it's open, and it's going to be on the weekend. And I kept pointing out that the lines we were going into that were maybe only, I think the worst line we hit was maybe 4 rows back of how the queue kind of goes back and forth. And there was another like 8 or 10 rows behind it. And I had to remind them, like, look, this ride on a busy day will go fill out the entire queue. And therefore, you'll be waiting for a solid hour and a half, to an hour and a half to get on it. And so there's the one that, and I can never get the rides' names correct because we always call them by nicknames. So there's the one ride we call the dinosaur ride, which I think is like Adventure to the Center of the World or something like that. That is the oldest one that people love. Go to that one. And we went in there, and there was, again, like 3 or 4 lines. It went so quickly by comparison. And then we came back to it later in the day because another eventuality happens where come like 2, 3 in the afternoon, a lot of people bail. And it's open until about 6 at night. So we went right after that and walked right up to the ride. Like there was no line, which I have never experienced at that water park the entire time I've gone. Normally I go to the other side of the park where there's 3 or 4 slides that are smaller that aren't the big rides at the end of the day, and they'll be empty or maybe 2, 3 people on the line, and I'll keep hitting those until I'm ready to leave the park. This time it was like all of the major rides, and so we went and did the one Under the World, and we went to the one right next to it, the Storm, another big ride that usually has a huge line because they were both just empty. Walked up and was like,
so you probably did these rides that you used to do. You know, you probably did the
do them
best
like
rides
once a day,
this
right?
trip you ever had before.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
That's cool.
Just ran through it and it was a ton of fun. And so it was neat because I got to kind of share one of these places I love that I haven't partook of this year, and was able to do it in such a way that we just went wild with it, and everyone had a blast. I had to compromise because I was supporting La Campette, who wanted to come out as well because she loves the water parks and stuff, with part of the group, but she wanted to head back to go see her boyfriend, so she was wanting to leave at like 3 to go pick him up. I was like, no, I paid for a ticket. We're staying longer. So I left, like, compromised, didn't stay till 6, but left later and such. But then the rest of the group that was there at the end, they were just like, nope, we're closing it out. And they messaged me afterwards saying, yep, that was a blast, closed out the park, good time. So it was fun to do kind of a last, and like I said, it's kind of a summer closeout hurrah kind of thing, except that I say this as it's supposed to be, 93 degrees today here again. It's been basically high 80s and 90s for weeks here in Colorado and continuing on. So think high 30s, kind of just constantly into the 40s kind of thing. And at the same time, so it's like, it's actually funny. I have the windows in the house open right now because it was cooler this morning, but I can feel that the sun is coming up. So come break, I'm probably going to run around the house and like close all the windows and turn on the AC.
Keep the cool in.
Yeah, but unfortunately, like all the summer type events are going to be gone, and the pool's going to close and things like that. So I had to get this one in. I think the rest of the week, or when it's warm out, I'll spend my time maybe going back to the skate park and pretend I'm younger than I am. Besides working on other things around the house. So yeah, that was one of the big things I did. Other than that, let's see. And this is kind of those ones where again it jumps between is it geek cred or not. But I have continued watching The Boys. And I don't want to get into a whole nother like half hour like we did last time with it, talking about it this time, but I'll say that I am on the last episode for the season.
You've not seen it yet though?
I am 3/4 of the way through the last episode right now.
Okay, so you're super excited about it.
I was maybe watching the show during the pre-show music today.
Nice.
So I was balancing between waiting for you to call me to when I needed to shut off the stream I was watching, and I'm looking forward to watching that last 15 minutes or so.
I mean, you say we're having a long musical break.
No, but man, I am happy with where it has gone and where it is going, and can't wait till we can all digest it and put a moratorium on it for talking about it in more depth, because I would love to come back and have us again talk more about what that series has been. Because now, I'm at like the climax moment with characters in the same space together having to resolve something that I can't wait to see.
It's quite tense then.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how it resolves. Like there are people flying through the air in slow motion right where I paused it. So yeah, that is still fun, still good, and I can't wait to catch it out. Have you continued watching it?
No.
Ken, you're
I've been
killing
watching Stranger Things.
Okay, fair. I will give you credit on that because Stranger Things is so good. Are you on season 3 for that?
Oh yeah. I'm only episode 2, episode 3. I'm not far in.
Stranger Things. 3.
I'm watching maybe. Well, I only watch it like at the occasional lunch or occasional dinner where I'm eating by myself. So it's quite. It's slow. It's fine. I'm enjoying like pacing it out.
I say you don't have to be like me. You don't have to watch it in a single sitting. You don't have to watch all 10+ hours of it in a row. It is quite enjoyable though. I love it because I will tell you, Ken, you weren't on the show when I talked about it, but it is like Stranger Things 3 is such a good highlight on what the growing up in the 80s was, because I was essentially those kids' age when I was going through that. And their experience in the mall and stuff was what I experienced.
That's cool. Yeah, I get that feeling. Like, even though I wasn't there, I feel like that must be accurate because it's so atmospheric, right? It feels realistic.
Legit, and it's legit. And to answer Babs in the chat,
The Boys. Ask that question
do you let the kids watch it? No.
No, absolutely not. Even the first couple episodes I saw, it's just so full of swears and such.
It's not even just the swears. It is violent to the sense of gore. It is because when people die in ways, there's exploding bloody messes that occur. There is no question about it covering adult content when it comes to motivations of people.
Yeah.
And things like that I don't think you really want to have that conversation with your kids at any time soon. Because it is talking about a much more realistic view of the world if they're superheroes. So oddly enough, Nando, not a lot of sex, but there's absolutely sex, and it's something that when it's discussed, the challenges, the majority of what they discuss in sexual situations are not how anybody would want to have sex.
That's a fair
almost all manipulative and like just base piece things of what people are doing, and
it's Seven Deadly Sins kind of stuff, right? That's when it comes into it.
It is definitely an adult series. For it do not let for a second the idea, the veneer of it being heroes, make you think that kids should get anywhere close to the boys.
From what I've seen, depending on your kid, it'd have to be like...
Well, if they're like 15, 16
plus,
at the minimum, and they're already watching rated R type things...
Yeah.
Then you can let them watch The Boys. But if you know...
As long as you also discuss with them afterwards why, you know... Yeah. Why do you think that was wrong? You make sure they understand what was going on. Right?
What happened with that woman and that guy, and why is he no longer...
Yeah.
Oh.
Although I think that kind of thing is important for people, for I say kids, right? For later age teenagers to watch, because that shapes your understanding of how scary the world can be and what to avoid and how not to act, right?
To understand that this is examples of some of the worst aspects of when corporations take over something you love. And being, it's basically the whole point of The Boys is lifting the skirts over the gnarly, disease-ridden underbelly of what you might see that you didn't want to necessarily shine a UV light on it. So put it that way. Yes, Hando, it would be very similar to don't let your kids go into Moonguard on a,
It's
into
worse
Goldshire.
than that. It's worse than that.
Well,
it's more visual,
it's
that's
more
just
visual.
text at the end. But.
Yeah, more visual. So anyway, not The Boys. Do not let my nephews watch The Boys.
No.
On a lighter note, and I do recommend, Ken, check out the rest of Stranger Things, check out more of The Boys. It's a heck of a ride.
I'll definitely be watching more Stranger Things. The Boys will see.
Trust me.
I wasn't smitten by it, so we'll see.
So the funny part is, there were episodes that were kind of like gratuitous to me, and not the best way for storytelling. Like they just showed a scene, and it was kind of like, I see what you did there, but did you need to? And then the further it gets in, and the more you start catching every character's motivation, because they do thankfully spend some time, you don't get all of, the heroes of the Seven. You get to find out enough about their backstory to kind of understand why they are who they are.
Yeah.
And as you do, it's not that you forgive them, because man, are they some flawed individuals, but you understand better. And so
that's one of my favorite things that I learned through adulthood, and I have to thank my wife for sort of not necessarily teaching me it, but really putting it so concisely. She's always said, when it comes to evil people and their backstories, or good people who do something wrong, it's not that you forgive them, it's that you understand them, right?
Yes.
It's that's the key.
It makes it more compelling. They're not a one-dimensional character that's just there for the convenience of moving the story along. You understand where they fit into the world and why they must act the way they do, because that's the character, that's the person, that's the personality they are.
There's nothing more tedious than a character who says, I am good because I am good, or I am evil because I am evil. Why do you want to kill that guy? Because I am evil. That's not backstory. That's just...
Yeah, no, so they do it with The Boys, and I feel like they really earn it. So that's why I will definitely throw the hand up there, Ken, and say, even if you're wherever you're at in it, it feels a little whatever. It's only 8 episodes to finish it out, and it just, I will say, throughout continues to ramp up. And so give it the next episode, give it the next, and where I'm at now, I'm like, I cannot wait to see what these last 15 minutes will be, and I'm excited or pretty darn sure that I will be dying for a second season, based on where we're at right now with it. So it's cool.
Cool.
But speaking of relatable villains and such, the other thing I got to do was yesterday, to break me away from the tedium of trying to do my Geek Cred section for today, I was invited over to our friend the Wasicks, our author friend's house, to do hey, let's go ahead and do a mini marathon of Avenger movies. And so went to their house and watched Infinity War and Endgame back to back. And just kind of hung out with them. And it was nice because we've all seen it. So we were able to discuss a little bit as it was going, lightly. And that was a good time. Because speaking of, good villains that have relatable, understandable kind of stories to them, my boy Thanos. Gosh, am I reinvigorated with how much I enjoy what they did with him.
Such a great character. Yeah, he's great.
Because I loved him.
He's not even a villain.
Yeah, right. Those memes about
Thanos did nothing wrong, guys.
the memes about understanding his motivations. When you're sitting in traffic and there's too many people around, you start thinking, it's almost like perfectly timed to have that kind of villain come out because, in a way, other than it being what I always say I'm not a fan of, but people's discussion of wanting a zombie apocalypse to happen, because I'm always saying that would be horrible. I don't want to live through that. There's a piece when you look at the way the snap happened. If you were a survivor of the snap, it's different, right? Because it's not a continuous the world sucks today experience because you have this constant threat. It is just
it's more
half
like
of
everybody's just
gone.
super depressed. It'll just feel like an ex-communist country at all times.
Well, it is the recovery of suffering something traumatic, right?
Yeah.
But it's not that the world itself is continuing to be horrible, that you're having to constantly survive or run away from, monsters, zombies, you name it, right? Whatever plague kind of thing they've shown. It is just poof. Oh, crud, half of people are gone. What does that mean? And I also really appreciate it, especially when it went into Endgame, right? Because watching them back to back, you get to see back to things in Infinity War that were staging themselves for Endgame.
So many, right? There's so much stuff, so much reference forward and so much reference back. It was laid out lovely.
Really was, where you could tell that all the movies leading up to, whether or not they had that distinct of a vision from way back, because, arguably, original Iron Man was simply, will this work? And it did. And it was like, all right, let's go. To Endgame and Infinity War being, we are very purposefully including these things that both tie back to every movie we've made, as well as lead into what we're doing with Endgame. And, oh, by the way, even lead into what we're going to do as we start to bridge into Phase 4 of what MCU will be doing with Spider-Man and going further into what we see what comes next. And so for me, it was nice to kind of catch them again, because I hadn't watched Endgame a second time yet. And I'm trying to remember if I'd seen Infinity War a second time. I think I had. But now watching them, like I said, back-to-back kind of going into it, I was very appreciative of a lot of it. And it's funny because at the same time, there's certain moments where I was kind of like, man, if someone could have just, because there are plot holes, right? There's definitely plot holes, especially when you touch time as an issue or a mechanism to do things.
Yeah, that was always an iffy. I think they had to do it because it's a time stone. They had to do it, but and it worked. For what they did well. But in the end, time's always a sticky issue that's best avoided if possible.
It leaves the potential for so many holes, right? And essentially, because their goal was to do things using time without disrupting the timeline, but arguably there's things that happen that have to have disrupted the timeline.
Plus, it's practically impossible not to disrupt the timeline.
Even when they were supposed to,
we seem to think that only massive human decisions change the timeline. No, molecular differences will have a cascading effect.
Literally the butterfly effect, right? That any one thing can cascade into multiple others. And it's funny because I liked that in Endgame they were self-aware several times of talking about time, where they brought up wait, why do you think it's going to happen that way? And they list off every movie they could think of that dealt with time in some way.
Yeah,
and then they purposefully go in there and say, but that's not how it really works.
It was cool because the guys who were sitting writing the script, they were sitting around a table and they were like, what would people say when they come out the cinema after seeing this? What will they say? They'll probably compare it to other films. Let's do that. Let's literally do that.
Yeah, do it internally. I like that they became a little more self-aware of the world in a way that we are aware, right? And that it's not that disconnect. It's like having any zombie movie where they refuse to call them zombies. I hate that aspect because it's like, oh no, we can't be a zombie movie. They're undead. They're walking dead. They're diseased. They're whatever. So I love that it is them having the cognizance, being cognizant enough to be able to say, yes, there are other movies that discuss time. This isn't the first time that this has happened. So I like that they have characters do that. Anyways, so that was fun, and 2 things that I did that were, on the bridge, but kind of entertaining and such as I continue to watch anime and do all the other stuff I do here and there. I do have to talk about, I forgot to put in my notes real quick. What is it called? It's called Cannon Busters. There's a new anime that Netflix has brought forward that I have found the new character I'm going to cosplay from it.
Cool.
And his name is essentially, what is it? It's Philly the Kid from the anime Cannon Busters. And it's one that I had seen posted on social media a little bit about because it's one that is talked about as being surprisingly racially inclusive when it comes to people of color. And normally I don't like rah, 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 all those kind of things, but it is something that when I focus on characters I might want to costume or do anything like that, I try to find characters that I somewhat portray. I have a whole, TED Talk on that. And the thing that this one does is the main characters, in fact, some of the main protagonists and antagonists that you run into at the beginning of it, are all basically black characters or mixed color or something like that, where you give them some credibility for being a different race than traditionally either Japanese or Anglo in some way. And so pretty happy with it. Plus it gives me vibes of main characters of basically a combination of Vash the Stampede from Trigun and maybe from Cowboy Bebop or Mugen from Samurai Champloo, just kind of the main protagonist being kind of a rascal, but although oddly enough not skilled. Like he's not terrible, but he's not a buffoon, but he's also not surprisingly super skilled like you'll see in some of these other ones, where the main character is quiet and reserved, but then when he actually has to throw down is phenomenal. This character is not quite that.
Ash from Pokemon, then.
Better than, because he's capable, but more I would say in a everyday kind of way. Like again, he's not like Vash the Stampede's whole thing is he would act a buffoon, but in reality is a super being essentially. And so in this one, it's not that. It's much more just he does have a capability in it. He does have a quirk or a thing that's different from what a lot are, but it's a little unique in that sense. So I do have to bring that up because the main character on it, Philly the Kid, basically he's got a huge fro as a black character like that. Yeah, I'm curious what you're looking at, Ken, because that look.
My wife is trying to distract me. That's why I'm looking at. And also the dogs are getting excited because of it.
Because hearing the woof to follow it up, I figured it had to be something good. That's hilarious. But yeah, no. Sorry. So I throw it out there. It's called Cannon Busters, and it's one that I'm enjoying. It's first season's out on Netflix. You can watch it. It's done in a solid English dub. I don't know if I didn't check to see what other languages it might be, but it's one that I'm enjoying so far, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to try to build a Philly the Kid cosplay at some point. I think it would be fun. So, but anyhow, those are the things I've been doing that have been not as geek this week. Since as we were talking about, there's always something geek in our lives. But continuing on, I think it's a time, and look as our audience has grown with viewers as people woke up and realized we're on, that it is time. Ken, tell us what it is that's got that grin on your face besides whatever it is Kitten was flaunting in front of you there from the doorway.
Both enjoyable, I can you. So yeah, you guys know that I had a job interview for somewhere in Alabama. I said last time.
Yes, you've been looking across the pond for opportunities.
Yeah, and that was going really well. It was a 2-year position, maybe 2.5 year, and it was looking pretty likely. I never received an offer from them, but we were still going through the background check, so I was still receiving emails saying, "Hey, could you do this?"
There was still process going on.
Yeah, and it seemed like, from what I could tell, they seemed happy to have me. Right? They hadn't offered it, but the fact that they already had me filling out visa information was sort of a indicative,
good sign, right?
Yeah, right. But I actually said no thank you to them yesterday. I sent them an email saying no thank you.
Wait, but we wanted you to come over here. I mean, Alabama, but still, we wanted you to come over here. What do you mean no thank you?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know about the temperature, like the humidity, the snakes, the spiders.
You would melt in Alabama. The amount of critters, like I'm essentially going to be, down in Hot Lands at the end of this month. And yeah, I would melt down there. But
yeah,
still,
if you would melt, I would be. I don't know. I'd be a form of gas. I'd be a gaseous form of Ken. That's what. So yeah, we instead I also applied for another job. It was a similar type position. This one is working in. So let me tell you about the first one. The first one that I've now rejected was on working on aircraft and trying to maintain their lifespan. So trying to optimize the best time to swap out spare parts, going for checkups, repair,
trying to use machine learning, AI routines, things like that to better understand a schedule based on different factors and things you could catch from, you name it, maintenance records, things like that. So that's actually very interesting.
It was that sort of heavy stats machine learning stuff, yeah. But it was also not just basically there's a huge chunk of data we're being given, and we were told we don't know what we need to do with this. Can you look at all aspects? So it was scheduling, it was like packing problems, it was repair problems. It's throwing a deep learning like neural net or something and seeing where the weird connections are. Turns out if you fly up to Canada once every 3 months, it'll improve longevity somehow, like that kind of stuff, right? We're trying to see where these links could occur. You might not think of as cute.
Take every data point and see where there's trends and try to predict and apply based on those.
Exactly. In ways that humans just can't do, and that's why we have AI, right? Okay, so that was a really cool problem, and I was really for it. I was happy to say yes, right? I really was. So I also applied for another job.
Okay.
This one is a really cool project as well. It's mostly working with genetics of animals, specifically cows. And so do you know what... I'll explain for the audience anyway, but a genotype and phenotype are... so
general sort of science of understanding, yeah.
Yeah, sort of like later high school biology. It's basically... so the genotype is just what the DNA says, right? The DNA says whatever it says, regardless of whether you can see it or not, right? It's just what the DNA says you need to do, right? And the phenotype is the physical expression of the genotype. So DNA says you will have blue eyes. Phenotype is the actual blue eyes, right? That's the difference between the two. However, the problem is it's not literally like, oh, well, this bit of DNA does the eye color, and that one is height, and that one is... What really happens, especially with things like height, is this bit of DNA, and that one, 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 and that one all have something to do with height.
All contribute.
Also how long your ears are, and the thickness of this eyebrow, but not the other one. And also, so there's these weird connections that you can't quite... It's not quite so obvious to humans.
Interesting. So while we have mapped the genome... At the same time, we don't necessarily understand how all of it links together.
We've not mapped every genome in the world. We have done cows, I believe, but we haven't done every genome in the world. We've barely scratched the surface.
Well, I usually mean like the human genome, and
yes,
we have the capability.
We have like all the amino acid basal, not amino acids, the sort of basal types, like the was it ACT? I can't remember the LR. It's high school biology. I don't remember. But these different bases that connect together in different ways to make the double helix formation, right?
Okay.
So yeah, it's these things. But yeah, what expresses a phenotype, we don't always know. And I guess even more complex when you have a mother and a father. The double helix unzips, and you've got like a half helix, right? Or just a helix. And the helix of the two opposite parts come together and make a new creature, which is the kid, right? But then you also have mutation, which randomly happens throughout cells as like a 0.005% chance or something. But that might be the difference between you being super smart or having some kind of neurological disorder even. So there's all these crazy things that could happen that, like, normally in just a double helix, normal DNA, but more so when they're coming together as two parents, because you don't know what's going to fit together, what's going to be. Admittedly, there's some stats on what's dominant and what's recessive, but again, there's this unknown search of what will actually be made in the end, and this is really important for a huge variety of reasons, right? Like for cows, it's kind of obvious the amount of meat that they can produce, how quick they have offspring, whether they fat up quickly, if they're immune to certain diseases. Basically, you want to make the perfect cow, right? You want to make the perfect food product or leather product or whatever it is. With humans, not quite the case, right? That's reaching something vague and terribly unethical. But what they do at this university is It's a genetics of humans, but based on disease prevention. So it's if we had this bunch of DNA and this bunch of DNA and it got squished together, what are the actual chances of them having this rare immune disorder, right? And that stuff's important because then we can calculate statistics and how to prevent this kind of thing and so on. Okay. And maybe advise people who have certain DNA of saying, you know what, you shouldn't, if you do meet somebody, check their DNA, because if you both have these specific things in your genes, the chances are 80% that your kids will have Huntington's or something, right? Like that kind of thing can be prevented.
It's an interesting thought on whether you want to get to that level of screening where you're like, show me the QR code of the person on the dating app to see if we might have genetic incompatibilities before we even say hi.
Well, this has nothing to do with society or the law, right? This is the science behind it. This is just can it be done, and it's interesting.
Not the application of it.
Absolutely. And so I believe we're in partnership with Korea. This place. So this job is based at Michigan State University in Michigan. And I was accepted.
Wait, what?
So that's going to be November timeframe, and
of this year. Wait, so November timeframe of this year. So accepted to a position. Wait. Okay, we got to break that down because there's lots of ways that could be applied. But when you say you were accepted to a position in Michigan, correct? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so what you're saying is you will be going to said Michigan in, say, November?
I'll be going late October, really, but the job begins November, yeah.
Wait, so...
Oh, you stud!
That is some good news!
It's incredibly good news. So it's shocking. I think we've only really told close family and friends. We have not announced online other than here. But I know that this is a safe forum because it doesn't tend to get back into our social groups.
What, you mean the people that we know and talk to every day don't listen to our show, Ken?
Yeah, exactly. Thank God. Speaking of, they actually came up with the interview. The chap said, "Oh, I see you have your CV. You do a podcast. You've got thousands of hours recorded. What's it about?" And I gave him a brief description. And he said, "I'll be sure to listen in soon." And I was like, "Oh crap!"
Well, it's that funny thing, right? When you realize that sometimes people that do know us actually listen. In fact, I think pretty much everyone who listens knows us. But it's the people. But it's the people that we don't see every day, right? And I have definitely run into that where someone who I'll interact with when they listen to an episode and catch me at work the next day or something, and they're like, "Oh, hey, yeah, no, I listened to you saying that." I get this little bit of like "Oh, wait, what?"
Yeah, it's like you listened into our private conversation.
Don't you realize this is just Ken and I, talking about random things we enjoy and hanging out with each other? What?
But I think the scary thing is that since so much of the show is impromptu, we don't know if we've said anything that might be upsetting, and we can't see everybody's reaction, right? So if it's somebody in real life, especially like an interviewer, right, you're like, "Oh God." I said, is PG-13. It's a perfectly safe show. Go listen, but it's about gaming and video games and tech and random stuff we feel like. So
yeah,
it might not be your flavor, right? But,
it could be whatever. And sometimes we might get into some subjects that other people might be uncomfortable with. But hey, it's a good time. No matter how you look at it. No, that's awesome, and I think hopefully you're looking at the chat right now to see people's reactions to the news as you posted it out. Because yes, admittedly, I had privately seen some information about this, and although not knowing dates and things like that. So I do think it is appropriate to discuss things like an upcoming Show XCon. Hey, everybody. Wouldn't you like to come meet the hosts in public and in person?
We could definitely do something like that. That will happen at some point, right? That's going to happen. The cool thing about there's so many cool things about this, right? The time zone change is going to be nice.
I still got to see if I can get you into CES. If like the two of us could go to CES or to like PAX Prime or any of these kind of gaming conventions that we've, teased about or things like that, to actually go together and cover like the good old days. Bah!
That'd be awesome, right? even just like, you can host your game fest and be like, hey, do you want to come? And I'm like, yeah, I can make that weekend, and it'll be just easy, Hey, it's just like, yeah, we can hop across.
My brother has come out to quite a few coming out from Idaho and such like that, and so, Iowa, sorry, and stuff from basically that neck of the world. And so there's lots of ways. Plus, we'll just have to look at what flights are between there and Denver.
Dude, I'll just be driving everywhere, man. Because I want to see the country, I want to see it all. So I know you keep saying it's boring and flat, but
you may want to make that drive once or twice between here and Michigan. I've done it once because I actually went for a car event just north of where you'll be staying at Mount Pleasant, which is where our friend Shady grew up and his family's from, and went and visited there. And while that area was nice enough and trees everywhere, although more of a flat area than what I'm used to here in Colorado, the drive between here and there, which was a 2-day drive, you can power it in a day. And it'll be harder to do that in the future because I will no longer have my parents in Lincoln, which was like the, perfect stopway point in the middle. But it's one of those that, having done that once, I'm good. Unless I need my car there for a couple days, that is what planes are for.
Absolutely, that's true. And yeah, it's right next to Detroit, so it's an easy access airport. Plus, I've looked at the map, and it's an easy drive over to Toronto. It's a 4.5 hour drive. So I can go visit Canada, which is cool. That is just mental. Right?
I will recommend some trips up around that region.
Absolutely.
If we don't already have, as Copy has mentioned in there, saying that, oh wait. Well, both actually was Hando saying is much closer as such. Because I will tell you that Niagara region, pretty place to go visit.
Oh yeah, I want to go there. I just love that. That's one of my favorite things about this. It's technically a side benefit, but me and Kitten can really explore. Well, she'll be showing me a lot of things she's already seen, right?
Yeah.
To be fair,
she'll be able to show you her home area and such. Which
yeah, that'll be a nice change actually. She gets to show me stuff instead, right? But it means that we have a new hub. We can actually. It's not just like, okay, going to Vegas this year and went in January. That was huge, right? That cost thousands, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's really expensive and took ages to save for. And that was a once every 5 years kind of trip.
Yep.
But now it'll be like, oh yeah, we've got a week off. We can drive there if we want to.
Skiing weekends in Denver, or
Yep.
Usually from anywhere in the U.S., flights to Vegas are super cheap. Super cheap. Because from here,
I won't go back there. It was just an example.
Different reasons. Because everybody flies there, you find events there to go to. Because from here, it's like round trip, like $140,
right?
To go to Vegas. That's what I'm saying. You find those areas that are hubs where it's like, if everybody can spend that to get to a place.
Just to be clear, that's a lot of money, right? But comparatively, it's nothing, right?
Compared to thousands, hey. So yeah. Oh, I'm excited, Ken. Cannot wait to hear. Plus. Hey, everybody.
Crazy.
That means, we'll be doing a show at 2 p.m. Eastern, which will actually be like 1 p.m., Ken's time, noon my time. And
that's weird.
It'll be, we could game afterwards?
All day. Oh, my God.
And, like, for more than an hour? And before Ken's like, it's past, it's almost midnight, got to go to bed.
Yeah, but instead it'll be like, it's 6 p.m. We can stay up for longer.
Like the rest of us do.
I can visit Boston. I can visit. We go to Hawaii. How expensive is Hawaii? Is it hard to get to?
It's not hard to get to. Staying in Hawaii is a bit. The way I put it, I have found that almost everywhere I travel, staying there costs more than visiting.
Okay.
Than flying there or such, and this is why I have offers on the table from different locations overseas of still people to go visit and say hey to. Although it looks like it'll be maybe a bit more of a challenge if I wanted to go back to Scotland. Missed that opportunity, darn it. And so
you've still got a few months.
Nope. I am tapped for this year. Nope. And so as I have friends planning to go to like Disney World in maybe February and things like that, and other places around where that will be easier for you as well, Ken, to go maybe see a Star Wars park and stuff like that. The plans and collusion.
It's also neat because, I'm going to be... This is going to take a few months of prep, right? So it takes a while for us to get there. I need to finish my current job. I promised I would finish this project, which is why it's later rather than now. Because otherwise, they said they'd be happy for me to just pretty much just go. So I'll need to like hold off until that's sane. And Kitten will be joining a little bit later, which is really sad. But in the end, to get all of our stuff and
your
most
stuff,
importantly, our pets,
the pets, because quarantine and transfer and all that.
Super expensive, and the transport's a pain in the butt, and we want to try and make it as enjoyable for them and safe for them as possible, because we know what flights are like with dogs especially. Thankfully, as it turns out, I can get a 3-month driver's license when I arrive in the US. It's like a temporary thing, and during that time I can do lessons even though I'm already driving. It's mind-boggling.
Well, the hardest thing for you is going to be, wait, what side are we on?
Oh yeah, that's going to be a mind change there. But that means that what we plan to do with the dogs is, instead of flying over, we're going to get Kitten is going to get a cruise over, and it's cheaper to have the dogs in the kennel underneath.
Do everything with the cruise than this
flight.
No, so I laugh about that.
Dogs.
I laugh about that because that is something I've talked about for years, about how I'd like to travel the world, and one of the ways I'd like to do so is, fly somewhere, spend a long length of time there. I have always talked about backpacking Europe or something like that for a couple weeks, and then taking like a week cruise along the Mediterranean and back across the Atlantic, therefore to relax and recharge, and take then a domestic flight from Florida or something like that back to the U.S. Like that would be a dream.
The thing. If I'm leaving earlier than Kitten, she's going to have to do a lot of the preparatory stuff of moving everything, right? Like, it's a real pain for her. It's going to be really difficult. So I think she'll have earned her cruise, really. That's the way it should be seen. She's earned it. So yeah, I'll probably go across with like 3 chinchillas on the plane. Just like
3 chinchillas in a dustbin.
Yeah, the first thing I'll have to do when I get there is buy a chinchilla cage or 3. Right, that's going first. Rent a car, go bring chinchillas to my new home that I'll never even seen before, but I'll be renting on the first day most likely. Madness. Yeah, so I've got a lot to think about in terms of logistics and administration and all that. But the crazy winters and buying clothing for that. Oh my god. That's something with because Scotland never gets that cold.
Never been that
cold.
Going to have snow. You're going to have so much snow.
We looked at the stats. There's 3 times in a year. There's 3 times as much snow in Michigan as the national average. 3 times as much. Like on average, there will be snow from like November till April, and it just doesn't go away. That's just it. It is snow now.
We're gonna have to get you like a pickup truck.
I'm going to get a big car. Yeah, I've got a dainty little thing right now that I love because I'm like, I can squeeze into little spaces, and even though I'm this giant guy inside it, like...
Yeah, you'll get rid of the clown car, and you'll be able to actually, spread out a bit and get something that can handle the weather and the big roads and everything like that. It's going to be so fun. We're going to have to make a journal, a separate case thing that we log Ken's transition to being a true American.
Yeah, right. I've been warned with. So I made a thread on Reddit about this and asked for like tips and tricks for moving to the US and specifically Michigan, and that's where I found out about the 3-month driving thing. Actually, that was very helpful of Reddit. But yeah, there's going to be there's so many little things. Like I thought because it's quite far north, there'd be very few guns there. But they were like, oh no, Michigan's a hunting state. Like everybody.
No, I was going to say lack of guns. No, it's the United States. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. There's a lack of guns. Please. There isn't a state in the union that doesn't have guns everywhere. No, but it'll be fun to kind of track how your transition over goes. I can't wait. So awesome times, and I'm sure we'll have to make some real plans on the back end of this and maybe tell people at some point when we do set up a time for everyone to meet in person, because that will have to happen. Awesome. Well, thank you for that great news, Ken. That makes me excited. With that, though, we're going to take a break.
Thank you.
All of you digest that bit of information right there. Feel free to send in emails, other congrats, things like that to know more about Ken's details, or let us know what you've been doing this last week for your geek cred, as we're about to come up to that with our next section after the break. But until then, we're going to take a short moment so I can turn on my AC, close some windows up, since now the sun has decided to make itself present here in Colorado. And we will come back after this quick OC remix song that is going to be one that hopefully Copy will recognize, because it'll be, now granted not from the newer stuff, but Phantasy Star 3 song, A Town That's Right For Me, from OC Remix. So you'll be listening to that during the break, and we'll be back right after this. With that, you're listening to Show X, and we'll be right back.
Send in your emails to showx at
All right, BRB.
You're listening to ShowX on BTWProductions.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. It is time for us to get into a little bit of...
I'm a geek. Are you a geek? Geek cred, level up!
Alrighty, Ken, what have you been doing as a little more geek this week since we've talked about life and all that goodness?
Life. Yeah, so I've done a couple of things. Let's start with let's go with this one first. So I've been doing my reading challenge over the past year, right? So this year I'm trying to do 24 books in 12 months. I think I'm like 11 through, so I'm fairly far behind. So I've been trying to focus on shorter books that aren't necessarily top of my list in terms of wanting to read them, but just to try and meet the challenge, right? So I've been choosing books that are in my wish list that I was going to read anyway, and so my wish list is populated with books that are a mix of things I really want to read, things that people have recommended to me, and things that I feel like I should read to be a complete human.
Okay.
There's literally things that I think if you miss out in life, you've missed out on a big part of life, right? Like obviously, I think everybody believes in that to some extent, and I have that view with certain books. So, like for example, I've never read Plato. I've never once read Plato. I don't think that I have really fully lived a full life until I've read Plato. So I need to do that. That's on my list, as I need to read some Plato, right? Amongst many other things are in there. So the one that I was reading just now is one that I said I'd read after watching the TV series Hill House, The Haunting of Hill House.
Okay.
So I really enjoyed the TV series, apart from the last episode, which was pretty terrible. But the TV series was really good, and I was like, well, we should really listen to that book. And me and Ken agreed that we'd both do it. It was. I'm about an hour and a half away from the end of it, so it's about 8 hours long, and it's nothing like the TV show, or more to the point, the TV show is nothing like the book. Like, there's some things vaguely reminiscent about it, but even the characters aren't the same. Like, it seems like they just took the namesake and a couple of things for inspiration, and that was it. So far in the book, okay, I'm only got an hour and a half left, and I haven't read many horror books since I was a teenager, so I've sort of forgotten what that's like. And from what I remember, horror books have points in them throughout that are scary.
Okay.
Right, it's not just like one big scare at the end, right? It's supposed to be multiple.
You shouldn't be
scared all the way through, but it's supposed to be like a roller coaster, right?
Yeah, usually you tease people through, you set the theme for things, you give some tense moments, things like that, some things happen, all leading up to what eventually is like a climactic, oh my god experience. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe some cleanup at the end or whatever, and maybe a hint of something in the future, like that kind of thing, right? And yeah, so far, I mean, there was one part that gave me a shiver, and I was like, "Oh, that was pretty creepy." And I'm going to say it because this is not a new book. This is, in fact, a very old book, so I don't think I'm spoiling anything. Do tune out right now if you don't want to listen to any spoilers.
Wait, is this one of those moments where I can like grab the little
put on the spoiler tag?
Yeah,
I love that, by the way. It's so nifty.
Do I still have it on here? Oh, I don't have it on this one. I have it, but it's not on. Oh no, there it is. Haha, there. Good to go.
Okay, cool. So there's this scene like 2 hours before the end of an 8-hour book, so that far through in pages, and basically the theme of the book is, or the recurring incident in the book is that at night something kind of creepy sometimes happens, and they're all trying to sleep in this house to try and figure out if it's really haunted, and it's like a scientific thing kind of thing. And the characters are fairly interesting, and I'll get back to them in a bit. But the only bit that's really been scary for me so far is that in the nighttime there's been this guy that goes, or something that goes through the halls and slams on the doors, like absolutely bashes on them. They say it sounds like somebody's hitting it with an iron crowbar. Like, okay. It's like somebody's smashing the doors, and it's going to fall off its hinges every night. But in the morning, there's no it doesn't even look like it's scratched. It looks perfectly fine, and other people in the house hear nothing. So it makes you think, are they just imagining it or whatever? And this is a recurring thing. So this is happening again, or something similar. There's like they hear laughter or talking or something next door, and there's these two girls sharing a bed because of other reasons earlier in the book, and also it kind of alludes to the fact they're lesbians as well, partly.
Okay.
Or at least one of them is. Anyway, so they're lying in bed, and one of the main characters sitting there is terrified, and is like grasps the other one's hand, and they're holding it in the darkness, and it keeps saying how the main character wants to speak but can't. Like literally tries to say this girl's name, but it like literally can't do it. Like her mouth will not form the words. She's just so terrified that she literally can't speak.
Okay.
And eventually she screams something like "Get out!" or "Leave me alone!" or something like that, and she wakes up. Or, well, I say wakes up. Suddenly the lights are on, which is when she remembers, actually, but we went to bed with the lights on, so why was it dark before?
Okay.
And then she gets up and runs to the corner of the room, and it describes how she's shaking, and she's like in a fetal position. She's like shaking and moving back and forward. And the other character's like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" And she's like, "Whose hand was I holding?" Because she was holding somebody's hand before the whole time in bed.
Okay.
And she remembers it clearly. She thinks she was awake the whole time. And she realizes that, she wasn't experiencing this scary thing with the person she was in bed with. She was holding something else's hand. And that was pretty creepy. I was like, oh man, shivers right down my spine. I was like, I felt that. That was creepy.
Interesting.
But that's it. That's the one scary thing. And there's been multiple things that could have maybe been scary and like alluded to being scary. And there's certainly a lot of paranormal stuff going on, or maybe not a lot. I think we're used to the extreme amount of paranormal stuff, like a Paranormal Activity, right? I think back in the day, a lot of ghostly stories where minor things happen and they were super creepy because they're rare. But now we're kind of used to like a constant barrage, right? So it's more fitting for the time. But yeah, so it doesn't feel particularly scary. That kind of annoys me a lot for a horror book. The other thing that's really irritating me is the main character. Oh my god, I hate her. I absolutely detest the main character. I don't think I'm supposed to. She's such a wimp, and she's like the most anxious person who is, even in the scary horror situations, she's constantly thinking, oh no, what did these people think of me? Do they think I'm a wimp? Do they think I'm a baby? Are they like, why is she even like, there's somebody smashing on the door with a giant metal rebar, and there's like weird laughter coming around you, and the walls are melting, and you're like, do they think that I don't know how to dress myself? Like, why are you thinking that? What is wrong with you? You absolute failure as a human being. Like, I get, I can even empathize with a character who has that in normal situations, right? If you say something dumb at the dinner table and people snigger and laugh at you or something like that, I get that you'd feel kind of down about yourself and you'd be worrying what people are thinking about you. Or if you're a teenager at a party, that situation would occur as well. But the main character is just constantly so anxious and unable and has zero confidence in herself, constantly. And she's a complete douche. Like she's constantly just thinking to herself, "Man, I hate these people. I hate them. I wonder if they hate me. I hate them. I hate them a lot. I just want to smash their face in." It's just like, what? They're being kind to you and they're going out their way constantly to try and save you, and they see you as this little kitten because you're such a wimp normally, and they're going out their way to help you, and you're just looking down on them all the time. I just, it's really hard to read or listen to a book when you really dislike the main character, because every time she talks, I just want to punch her. I'm just like, you suck. You are a terrible main character. You're a wimp and you're useless.
Dude, I understand that kind of feel, and that's one of my challenges with anything I watch or consume. If I can't somehow get behind the main character, it is a challenge for me to appreciate or spend any real time in that world. That's why, for me, the challenge has mostly been anime, and the ones that I've seen that I've just protagonists in it make me so angry. Things like Neon Evangelion and ReZero, and there's just a couple others out there where the main character I want to slap half the time I'm watching, and so it makes it a challenge for me to enjoy.
I don't mind it sometimes when it's intentional, right? But this just feels like the main character is just being a total weirdo. I just don't get it. I just hated them. So I so far I don't recommend the book. Which is hard for me because I think I usually rate books generally very highly. Like pretty much every book I've read, I give between 3 and 5 stars. I'm leaning towards a 2. Like there's a lot of it that is well written, but it's not fitting to the genre whatsoever. It feels more like a monologue of a socially anxious person in a ghost house.
Oh,
rather than a horror story that features this character, right? So yeah, that's Haunting of Hill House. If you are interested in the books that I discuss here, you can, and maybe you forget, which one I'm talking about, or I don't see the title or the author or whatever, you can always check out what I'm reading on Goodreads. You can go to, I'm going to link it in the chat actually, that's probably the easiest place to have it, because it's not easy to type. So there it is there. It's also in the show notes if you're interested, in my Goodreads account. Okay, I've been playing a little bit of Minecraft. A buddy of mine in real life has been playing, and he's been asking me to play with him, and so I kind of got into it a little bit recently.
Okay.
Playing on his server, but the thing is, we're playing on PlayStation, and the issue, because my Minecraft account on my PC is just dead for some reason.
Oh no!
Like literally, there's no email address associated with the account, and I just can't access it anymore. And I did anyway. It's just dead. I'm not going to chase anymore.
That sucks.
So I've been playing on PlayStation, and because Minecraft Realms don't exist on PlayStation, you have to have 2 people online to do multiplayer. You can't just join a multiplayer server.
Okay, gosh.
So I've been playing on his server, but he's not always online. So I've made my own server as well, and I've been screwing around, and it's been quite fun actually to play Minecraft again, especially if there's a bunch of updates that I haven't seen before. So for example, there's creatures in it now that are like there's underwater zombies. There's dolphins that are quite intelligent in the game now that you can like interact with, and they jump around and stuff. And it's quite, if you're in a boat, they follow your boat along. It's quite cool. If you stay awake for more than 3 days, there's a 20%, then 40, then 60, then 80, then 100% chance that you will get phantoms spawning, 5 to 7 phantoms. These are basically look like stingrays in the sky, and they just once every 10 to 15 seconds, one of them will fly down and bite you, take a chunk out of you, and they don't kill you straight away. It's like 2 hearts out of like 10 or something, and it's fine as long as you're indoors. Or you can also kill them if you want to, and they drop some stuff in XP. But basically, the game's kind of saying to you, like building a bed. Building a bed is now kind of required. You need to do it.
Interesting. No, that's actually very interesting to hear, because I know that's one of those things that I don't think has been done enough. Right?
Yeah.
That in Minecraft you can kind of just stay up constantly, and there's a lot of games that they don't handle sleep mechanics well. Right? It's like suggested.
I mean, if you're playing creative mode, fine, there shouldn't be a requirement like that kind of thing. Well, it's creative mode, right? But that's why that exists. Survival should have some elements of survival, right?
Right.
There's not much in Minecraft. It's really just avoid the scary things, don't fall in the lava, don't drown, don't mine straight down, and you'll be fine, right? So it's nice that there's a couple mechanics that, like, you know, force you to do something kind of survival-y. So it's been good fun. I mean, I really dislike the control scheme on PlayStation. It's not easy, right? It's not easy to use. However, there's so many more recipes that I didn't recognize before, stuff that I didn't know you could do. There's new monsters, there's new area types. It's really quite interesting to play it again. The one thing I do really miss about PC is I really wish there was texture packs that didn't cost £4 for a crap one.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. Also, if you want to change your skin, you gotta pay for it, and it's only the ones that they allow, which is dumb, because on PC, it's just...
You grab whatever file someone made.
All right. Just upload this bitmap of whatever it is, and you custom... It's great, right? PC's always better. So, yeah, that's pretty annoying. But I have been enjoying it, and I'll probably keep playing it. Now, what I've been playing the most is Witcher 3. I mentioned it last week. I've been playing a fair bit of Witcher 3. I've finally moved on to... So I've been trying to be a bit of a completionist. I've been in most of the game. I'm doing all the quests, except for anything relating to Gwent, because I hate the bloody card game. And anything that's a racing thing. I don't want to be running around on a horse, because it's got crappy mechanics, and it's just like... It's like doing races in games that are not car games, but have cars in them. Okay. It's like... Technically, this works, but it's not even vaguely polished.
Yeah, the stuff where it's like, sure, we'll give you a car and let you race, but it feels like crap.
Yeah, the mechanic is, you know, hold down X, and you have to turn left and right occasionally, but you just hold down X. But then at one point, you'll run out of stamina, so you gotta wait for it to regenerate, but then once it's regenerated, you hold down X. That's pretty dull. That's pretty boring. So I just refuse to do any of those quests. So since I'm doing a completionist type thing, the way I'm doing it is I've not allowed myself to leave an area until I have at least tried every single quest there. The problem is some quests are too high level, right? There's like I'm level 23 or something just now, but some of the quests like you need to be at least level 29. So I've tried my hardest to do them all, but there's a couple that I've left behind, and I've moved on to Skellige, the newest area. And it's really nice. One of my minor criticisms of the game so far has been that the landscapes feel very samey. But now I've gone to Skellige, I'm looking around, and it's no longer 2D flat with some hills. It's now like mountainous in some regions, and there's like castles built into the rock, and it's pretty badass. Okay. All the characters there have like Irish accents, but are Vikings. And it's just a neat environment. Even the magic that exists in like the NPCs has changed and stuff. It's a different religion, different culture. It's pretty neat. I'm really enjoying it. It feels like I've walked into a DLC, but if not, it's just a new area. I've spent, by the way, this game has been fantastic in terms of hours played. I must have 80, 90, 100 hours down in this game so far, and I'm nowhere near finished yet.
Nice.
I'm doing all the side quests, right?
Well, but still, that's one of those things. I am going to have to take time to eventually play some Witcher 3. That is on one of the many lists of two. The problem I have with it is I feel like that's one right now, because I've been playing Zelda, that's something I really need. I can only focus on like one RPG at a time. You know? One thing that takes that has that much story, essentially. so that I can manage and keep track of what people are actually doing, who characters are and things. Because one of my biggest challenges with any games I play is that I seem to play them for a quick minute and then leave them for weeks, if not months.
Yeah,
and so that when I come back to them, I have to do this whole catch up of like, what was I doing? And so that's a concern. So also, just as a quick throwback, you had mentioned when you were talking about Minecraft, Babs in the IRC or in the chat mentioned that the mods that are out there for ray tracing and super textures.
Yep.
On Minecraft, and how if you
they're beautiful, man.
Right.
They are so goddamn pretty.
Well, so it's fun because, and hopefully we'll see if you've on social media and follow him and all. John Wasik, who does the Sword of Dragon series, has been building his world in Minecraft.
Yeah.
And so he actually has this whole, like several of the big maps set up of the overall landscape. And what he's been doing, while he doesn't have a 20 series card, or no, he just got, I'll have to talk to him about this. He just got a 20 series card for a 2070 to put into his main gaming desktop. And he's been doing screenshots of Minecraft with lighting mods, which do make it look significantly prettier. Well, I'm watching videos of Minecraft with full-on ray trace mods and the higher textures, and holy cow, is it
if
pretty.
you get like proper water mods, if you get proper ray tracing, if you get proper weather mods and proper sky mods, it just looks like, it's like a slightly blocky looking but gorgeous game. You're like, holy crap, this is Minecraft? Like,
right?
Honestly, it's surprising.
Oh god. Well, it's the discussion when NVIDIA first started talking about why does ray tracing matter, right? And it's that you can take any current game, and once you put proper lighting to it, so that you now see textures, diffusion, the way light just interacts with the world, that's where our mind starts to realize that's what's been missing from probably most all of our gaming experiences. Is that when you get light that makes sense and reacts off surfaces the way you think, yes, it could just be a more blocky version of something that exists in the real world. You know, and that's what's cool. So.
And it sort of blends nicely the blocks together, so you don't really notice them being blocks anymore. Yep. It's more just like you notice like on the edges, like, oh, that's actually kind of blocky now that I look at it. But because the lighting's done right, you don't even notice.
Yes.
It's like if the real world was carved into blocks. So instead of it looking like an 8-bit game which is blocky, it looks like the real world which happens to be blocky. I think that's the best description of it, right?
And so Babs went in there and actually did a link of a person talking about how you can basically break your PC on Minecraft by adding all of these things. And so nice about this one is it actually talks about some projects that are out there that are specifically designed to make it as photorealistic as you can. And so feel free to follow the link that Babs threw in the into the Twitch chat. And you'll see
wow, look at that. Oh my god.
Some of what's available out there. And that's actually, thank you, Bess, because that's the link I was waiting for you to throw in there. The one about.
I like how. I don't know if you've got on the screen there, but there's a couple of like 8 minutes 40 into it, he actually just like zooms right into a block of grass, and you're like, oh my god, that looks like grass.
So I am showing, or I will show now, it's a theme, or this one is a video from, let's see, who is it? Basil Doom HD. Showing basically it's called 2009 Minecraft versus 2019 Minecraft ray tracing, where he takes a still shot of a scene and then shows a wipe go across of it going from the standard graphics to a modded ray traced version, and then in that one he then plays through a bit of the world showing the lighting, reflection stuff, and honestly the water is one of the most impressive things. Waters and mirrors, or not mirrors but windows, and just reflective things in general, because it's using the full-on ray tracing, and so things that reflect are actually reflective. And so some of the things he showed on one of his showing water and looking at a horizon in the distance and seeing how everything reflects off of that water as it's moving, which is so pretty. And
that's the thing with PlayStation, right? You will never get that on PlayStation. That will never be on PlayStation because Microsoft will make money from selling crappy texture packs from like Halloween 2016 or something, which, by the way, just looks like slightly more orange Minecraft. But it costs $5, and it's just like, why is this a thing? Screw you so hard, Microsoft, for that. I would much rather, I'd happily pay £5 for the textures that we're seeing there, right? I wouldn't mind that if they made it themselves, etc. as well. But this is but what they're doing right now is just a cash grab. The most annoying thing about it is I'm tempted because I don't want to look at the default Minecraft textures. I want to look at pretty ones.
This is when it gets into the disadvantage of consoles, right? Because you have to live within the, what is it? Not the architecture, but the, live within the world or the access that they give you. You can't just reach out there and find people that have done it themselves. And so, yeah, I'm kind of bouncing through this other video from UFD Tech where it's talking about Witcher 3, and he's talking about some of the things with ray tracing. Now, the challenge here... Okay, I think I'm finally getting to a point where he's actually activating the ray tracing and showing some of the difference, or how the shaders work. There we go. There's some examples.
Yeah, he does it bit by bit, so you can see all the differences as you go.
Yeah, so you can see how much of an effect ray tracing makes. And it's a challenge, right? Because, man, being a tech guy and wanting hardware that supports it, I would love to be able to walk out tomorrow and grab a 2080 Ti so that I can start to do this. But I can't. I can't justify that in any way.
Can't justify that whatsoever.
Yeah. I'm still running a 2080 and a 1080, and it does great. The 1080 is a good card.
That's better than what you'll need for most, like 99% of games, right? It's just the particularly hardcore stuff.
Yeah, and so with that, it's one of those things that, the tease of seeing these, and how I want them, but that is not something that I can do yet. No, unless somehow we get sponsored someday for something.
Yeah, right. I think we need to start doing proper game reviews or something for that to ever be the case.
Right? That'd be nice. But anyhow, so eventually my goal is to do that when I both get the hardware so I can get a new monitor, as beautiful as the monitor I have here. That's a wonderfully calibrated ISO monitor that would normally cost anybody out in the real world $30,000. Great, but it's not a gaming monitor, and it only does one resolution. And so
that's pretty annoying, yeah. Especially since a lot of games don't support that one resolution, right?
It only does 4K, and it only does it with dual DVI. And
so you literally couldn't play, for example, Warcraft 3, right? You have no way of doing that.
Oh, I can. Warcraft 3 plays 4K, no problem. Warcraft 3 does. Rocket League does with the 1080. They play 4K beautifully.
Warcraft 3? Not Warcraft.
Not 3. Sorry, World of Warcraft. Sorry, Warcraft 3.
Okay, I was going to say...
Sorry, I misheard you. Warcraft 3 I play in windowed mode, along with StarCraft 2 and all those. I play those in windowed mode. And so, actually, the worst one is League of Legends, because League of Legends I play in windowed mode. And so I have this whole 56-inch monitor, and I play League of Legends at 1080p, in a little screen in the center that I have to drag down in windowed mode. And so it also runs at lower frames because it's windowed versus full screen native. So all of that. But yes. Oh, well. Sorry, you're right. Warcraft 3, no. Although when the update comes out, right, I should be able to.
Yeah, right. But it's remastered. Oh, my God. That's something I'm going to be paying for, no doubt. That's going to be awesome.
I'm still trying to decide.
Oh, my God. VCW Warcraft 3, playing original Dota, playing...
no, screw original Dota. Dota is the bane of existence. However, I do want to talk to people again about gaming nights about StarCraft 2 with mods. Because StarCraft 2 is free, and there are mods out there to play everything from tower defenses to kind of like game campaign modes together that you can do co-op.
Mods, or is it the custom maps?
The custom maps. So it's built in, right?
Yeah. You don't have to modify the actual game.
No, you don't actually have to mod it. Sorry, the custom maps that are there in the custom game modes. But we could do a lot of playing in StarCraft 2 totally free online together as groups. So throwing that out there because I watched my cousin Hostel before he took off doing that with others. And I was like, oh yeah, StarCraft 2. Forgot about that. Anyhow.
I hope he's enjoying Dogecam. I know this is a bit unusual, but he crept on and I couldn't say no because he's just too goddamn cute. So he's getting lots of belly rubs and face scratches.
You're weak, sir. No.
Oh, anybody's weak to this guy. He's just so sweet. So he spent the day in Edinburgh today. Kitten took him out all the way on the train.
Oh, wow.
He had a little bow tie. He had his little bandana on. He had this like fox bandana, and apparently he had like 20 or 30 comments of people saying he's so cute, he's adorable.
Aww.
And he didn't pee or poop on the train, which is very important and good.
That's a plus. This is good. Allow him to be in public and not have people too concerned.
Yeah, not pooping everywhere is good. No.
Yes, I would have to agree with that. So nice. Anything else you want to bring up specifically on your geek cred, Ken, before I transition and talk about what I've been up to?
I don't think there was anything else. No, so sorry, we got totally distracted there. Witcher 3, yeah, I've been playing it and thoroughly enjoying it, and the music from it has been slowly filling up my Spotify study playlist because there's a lot of nice
I have
music
heard good things about the music there. It's one of those things. I do really want to get more gaming music into my regular playlists.
Yep.
The challenge
check out the
is,
Spotify pre-made ones. There's a lot of really good ones
some
there.
of them are good. The challenge is some are too gamey, if that makes sense, because I still want things that I can kind of rock to or stuff as a regular thing. But I'd love to catch those games that do have solid soundtracks behind them and listen.
Well,
to more
I get that
of
a lot about movies, for example, right? Like I love movie scores, but a lot of movie scores are just like battle drums for 10 minutes. It's like, oh no, I don't want to listen to that, right? Like maybe if I'm like running at the gym or something, but no, I don't do that. So.
Anyhow, all right. So let's see things I have been doing that have been geekier this week. So I'm still working on costumes, and unfortunately, I am feeling the con crunch because while people here in Colorado are getting ready for this upcoming weekend of Nandescon, the anime convention that's happening, I will not be attending that. I've been swearing off most of the local conventions to focus on. I have DragonCon the week following, so this will be my last real weekend coming up to kind of prep for getting costumes done for DragonCon. And so I am working on Jack the Clown from the Universal Halloween Horror Nights event that they throw. His original costume, so it's a clown costume that's basically a big jumpsuit with little polka dots on it and such. Wouldn't think it's that hard, and I have the material cut for it, but I have to now like paint on all of the little polka dots. And my thought is to do that before I fully assemble the costume, so I could do it so that they match, especially across seams or things like that, and kind of get a good pattern, and then hopefully finish sewing everything up this weekend. So my goal this week is to get it prepped and painted somehow during this week so I can finish sewing next week, add the elastic, little things like that, and be done with it. And somehow over the week also style this crazy orange wig that I have to figure out for it that I have thoughts, but I don't know what I'm doing yet because I probably have to add a little bit of foam and stuff to make it stand up how it needs to, which I've done in the past. But
I'm sorry that I'm not your traditional Scotsman with a big ginger set of fur on the top of my head, so that I can't offer advice. I'm afraid. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. This one's a little different than some of the other ones I've done. Most of the other ones I've done have been more neat. This one is not. It needs to have a certain look, but it's going to be a bit messy as it is to try to do. And so I'm trying to decide because it pokes up in some way that I may want to use a wire inside of it or something to kind of give it some volume and ability to hold up. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of like hairspray glue, and hopefully it maintains what it's supposed to. So we'll see. I'm struggling with that a bit, but that's one of the things I'm trying to do, and I'm like gave up time to socialize and do other things this last weekend. I could have done more, but somewhat when like today after the show and after a bit, if we game or anything, I will be back downstairs and working on like pinning patterns or pinning the fabric and start getting ready for things there and such. So I've got a few things to try to get done there. And hey, Kuro, welcome to the show. Also, as I'm playing with my 3D printing and I've been printing some more things, I have run into a new hassle because guess what? 3D printers are never just happy to exist. They need more maintenance than most other crafting things, and it's one of those reasons I tell people if you're going to get into 3D printing, make sure you're not afraid to get burnt, to do some electrical work, and heaven forbid have to pull and disassemble, reassemble a few things, because you will at some point with a 3D printer. The most recent, and it's always the newer one I got, darn it, I finally solved, after years of owning it, my Robo R2. One of the issues I had where as it would print, I'd get this waviness in the vertical axis, and I came to find out what that was being caused by is a flexing of the main housing for the Z-axis screw. So there's a screw that lifts and lowers the plate that you print on in the Z-axis, the up and down. And unfortunately, the way it's attached, it's on a plastic like crossbeam, and the motor's attached to that. And even though you can't see it, there must be a slight it flexes a little bit, and it doesn't in some kind of rhythm based on where it's done. And so you end up with almost imperceivable, but a little wave in the vertical walls of whatever you print. And so when you get a final product, you look and it's like, well, it looks like the thing, it is a thing, but I see this consistently wavy pattern, which just sucks. So one of the things that I ended up doing, and I had seen it posted elsewhere, and I'd gone through all the forums on it, and nobody had answers, I didn't find it until I started looking up for things. And I was telling John and Beck yesterday about 3D printing. One of my favorite things to do, and everyone who gets a 3D printer, one of the first things you should do if you ever want to know what's useful in it, look up any device you own on a search for 3D prints. So you look up look up a specific microphone that you might own, or the webcam you have, or the monitor you have, or the joystick or gamepad, whatever device you have, or the car you own, right? And you just search for it on the 3D print sites, and you will find little knickknacks and widgets and things that people have designed specifically for that device. In fact,
that'll not just be replacement parts, that'll also be like mounts and stuff, right?
Modifications, upgrades, things that people have done to solve little problems, right? Because one of the beautiful things about 3D printing is it's a way for you to quickly prototype and make a usable, real thing in the world that you might use to solve specific issues. And so for me, it's everything like on my Miata, getting a new type of drink holder for the center console, because they're notorious for having this real thin plastic piece that breaks constantly, that sits, and it's in the worst position ever because it's right under your arm where you would shift, like is where they put the drink cups. It's the worst thing ever. So people have designed, one, the main clip that was in there broke. I have it still, but it broke. It won't clip anymore, so it just slides around. I found an after-designed one that's a little thicker, more robust, and allows bigger drink holds. And I printed one of those out. And then I basically Velcroed it in so I could move it if I need to. And it works. And I've seen additional models of one where people do what you can buy as an aftermarket console that hangs off to the side in the passenger compartment as a little cup holder so that your shifting arm is completely free and it's now over on the side. Things like that just are solved aspects of things you might run into. And so
that's cool, dude.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things, like I said, I recommend for everybody, no matter what it is. And it's even something when people say, hey, could you make me something? Look up something you're having a challenge with. On the site I always recommend is Yeggi, YEGGI.com, because it's an aggregate search engine for multiple sites. And look for something where someone has already solved a need. So in the Robo 3D R2 that I have, someone said, here's this little, basically they built a little tower, a little square tower that is designed to shove under that motor that you use to do the Z-axis. And basically what it does is where that plate may flex a little bit, where it could go up and down, you shove this thing underneath and it pushes it against the base. In fact, it was a struggle to get it under there for me. I had to sand it down a little bit because it was too tight. But then you kind of wedge it under there, and now it's providing the solid base for the motor to sit on. And from there, it absolutely cleaned up my vertical Z-axis. That the waves are gone. And it's something that I had been struggling with since I got the printer, that I never understood what was happening, and there was no solid answer from Robo for sure, let alone on the forums. And so finding it in the Yeggi app where I searched for R2, Robo R2, and I found this thing. I was like, I've seen it before, then I lost it for a long time, and then I found it again, or a new version. I tried it. Whoa!
Do the kindest thing you possibly can. Put out, if you've asked any questions on forums, or even if you've not, go up there and just post a thing saying, hey, I have this problem, and then a day later just be like, oh, I solved it using this.
I found my original post that's months old, or like almost a year old, where I was stuffing it. And my goal was to now go back and add some of the pictures I took with my camera, showing the difference, because I was actually documenting. I did 2 benchies, one before and one after the little tugboat type benchy that you use to show. And I want to show the difference and say, this is what I did, and it worked. As a final, like, tie a bow on this post that I'd asked for people from years prior. I actually got from Robo a replacement Z-axis motor and screw because I thought that was going to solve it, but that wasn't the core issue. And unfortunately, I still haven't seen anything official from Robo to address it. But what I was talking about that, while I fixed that, I ran into a new issue with the R2 because go figure they're, like I said, problematic children that these robots always require some love. And essentially, the touchscreen interface has started failing on me, where I can boot it and it starts playing for a moment, and then it just locks up and won't do anything.
Is it a firmware issue or?
Hard to say. And so again, I have now 4 or 5 tabs open, all from the forums, because again, the official site's a little support site's not as like accurate as I would like. And in this one, the closest recommendation I've seen from people is to say that sometimes the boot and like the boot files or the files on your SD card corrupt from the Raspberry Pi that they're running in it, because I think they're running a Raspberry Pi B as one of the main boards in it. And so they said it's likely that got corrupted, and so I've done an official request for them to give me a updated or a fresh version of the boot software to then put onto the SD. And so I'm getting ready to order potentially a new SD card just to make sure I have a fresh one in there.
You always do that. You can just wipe it yourself if you want to format it or whatever.
Well, but remember, right, solid-state drives have limited life, and I don't know if it's being written to at all. And so we'll see. But at the same time, right, the drive that came in is like an 8 gig, and the boot information on it's tiny. And I'm able to get a brand new SanDisk 32 gig for like $5. And all so right. I can do that, put brand new fresh software on it, and use that to see if that'll boot and fix. And so that's one method I'm going to do to try to troubleshoot this. The challenge is it means that newer one that I've now got working better ain't working again. And I'm back to my not Kickstarter, but my R1 that I got later that is printing and doing good things. And I'm currently printing a nice bust of a superhero character because I have cool shiny filament that I want to show off. But anyhow, so I'm doing that.
I can't wait for the future of 3D printing. You know that? Like right now, it's in still such a beta phase, but clearly there's going to be a big technology one day. You know, one day it will be a Star Trek replicator type thing.
It continues to improve. It's very similar to like VR, where it continues to improve. It's not going to, hopefully, not going to go away. And while it may not be mainstream enough that people are going to use it every day and that everybody's going to jump on it yet, I'm hoping it just gets to a point where you stop thinking about what do I have to do to get it to. It's just there. And I say at the same time, I think I joked about it last week when I talked about 3D printing. At the same time, I've got lost some of that, like, I was the niche person doing it. And now all my other friends who are 3D printing have picked up multiple printers and are just churning out things.
But that's partly your fault, right?
It is. I showed them. I was the one who took the initial cost. I'm the one who educated that don't do what I did. Don't get the prototype stuff. Here's the stuff that works good. And they did. And go figure, their robots are kicking out so much good stuff. And I'm a little jelly. And so... yeah, no, I did. And it is a suffering of my own, sharing the interests that I have and talking about on the show and things like that for others. So it's my own fault. But that's okay. So yeah, I've been troubleshooting, doing stuff like that. The other thing I've done is I've still playing some League of Legends ARAMs, because that is probably still my most consistent game out there, because I can just jump on, play real quick, and have a fun time. And I've been happy because I've been playing well with some of the characters I've been doing recently there's characters I should not play. That I don't know how to play. Like when I played Yorick, and I was just like, I got no idea how to use Yorick effectively.
Yeah, he's confusing to
people
me.
poke me with him, and it's annoying as heck. I am not that person. But then I've turned around and played other characters that I may not be great at, but then did really well, like playing Ezreal recently, and I just played one where, well, I wasn't great myself, but I was effective in the team playing Olaf and such, that I was the good front line and causing enough challenge amongst others that as a team we were successful, things like that I've had some really good ARAMs lately. Like I think more wins than losses in the last week, which is always fun. So yeah,
well done.
But that's pretty much what I would claim my geek for this week. I know I've got a lot of like other things. I've got stuff coming up because as I've talked about like the costume stuff, I've got supplies and stuff that I've ordered in from Amazon to try to do makeup and things that I've not done before to make this clown face I'm going to have to. So I have like some top brand clown white makeup and some paints for the costumes and all these other things that hopefully I will be able to manage all these things for it. I ran around a costume store yesterday trying to pick up last minute pieces. Hopefully I'll get it all done in time that maybe this next weekend I can do at least a partial makeup test and costume test. You know, the thing that real cosplayers do? That I usually wait until it's the day of that I'm like, oh, I should do this, shouldn't I? Yeah. So, anyhow.
I think you'll be surprised. There's probably a lot of... everybody's a procrastinator at the end, right?
Cosplayers is notorious. The con crunch is real. Oh, let's see. We're getting a comment in there. Was it both Babs and is it also Kuro talking about some article or news thing that I am not aware of? Do you see that? It's about Satfishers or something? Something about someone that has 980,000 bitcoins?
Okay.
Apparently, what is it? The Bitcoin creator? Is that what you guys are talking about?
Well, that's going to break the entire network, isn't it? That's just going to mean that everybody else is poor for a while or whatever, isn't it? Something like that will happen.
Oh, so he's got that many bitcoins. Okay, so let's see. Recent news about this. Because if he has that many bitcoins, that's insane, right?
Oh, yeah. That means...
Because the current Bitcoin market...
Be rich, the richest man on earth, I imagine.
Well, I was going to say, because Bitcoin is currently worth what? Let's look at our live Bitcoin stocks. One Bitcoin, Jesus, wow, is $10,372 right now. And so
he's not the richest man in the world, but he's certainly rich.
So that means, geez, he is worth, let's see, $10 billion?
Yep.
That looks like $10.1 billion or something. Well, so you say that, Kuro, but yeah, depending. I'm looking at the market right now, according to Bing, I guess, or whatever I'm searching on. So somewhere in the range of $10 billion in Bitcoin. Yeah. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure I would cash out right now. Like, I would be.
I don't know. I think there's a certain point of rich where there's not much of a difference between being rich and richer.
True, but what I mean is I'd cash out right now, where right now Bitcoin, or at least half or something, right? Bitcoin is a volatile pseudo-monetary thing. And where you're saying it's stabilized right now. God, I remember the last people I knew people who were mining when it was like $800 a coin and then dropped to somewhere like $300, and they were suffering trying to get out of it. And I just haven't followed it since then to know that it's now jumped over $10,000 a coin. That is nutty. Nutty.
Well, the problem is if he tried to sell it all right now, there wouldn't be enough buyers, and it would crash how much it's worth. He wouldn't make that much money back.
Well, no, but what I mean is I would start trying to translate Bitcoin into other currencies. In some form, just... I don't know. I mean, yes, it may go even bigger and be richer, but like you said, because it's 10 billion, do you need more? I mean, other than if there's is it more stable than the dollar, the pound, the euro, the whatever? I don't know. That'd be the only reason I'd probably stay in it. Otherwise, I would at least start. I would want to transition like 10% of that to other monetary funds and invest them elsewhere.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the thing about investment, right? Like it's like when you invest in your pension, you get to choose between low, medium, and high risk, right? You don't put all your funding into the high risk one. You put maybe like 5%. That's the same thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I had not. So thank you both Babs and Kuro for that, because I had not heard anything about this one. I didn't. I have been so outside of the Bitcoin world lately. I don't own any Bitcoin. I've never transferred in Bitcoin. Right? It's not something I've ever utilized. Mostly because I know, like, I was surprised. It was years ago, but I was out visiting Babs, that down in that area in Oakland, San Francisco area, there were actually several shops out there that had Bitcoin readers that you could straight up buy through Bitcoin.
That's being a bit too ahead of the curve, I think. It was a bit preemptive.
But they were in, a technology base, right? It makes sense down in like San Francisco and stuff like that, Silicon Valley offshoots, stuff like that, that places that they would be supportive of new kinds of things like digital currency, or in bigger cities and such. I know around Denver, I have seen a handful of places ever that supported Bitcoin directly in their own shop, right? And so for me here, I've never even considered it. It's not something that is an easy option. And so that's why for the most part, it's fallen off my radar completely. So I absolutely do appreciate that, because that totally transitions into... Whoops.
Technology, news, and more today on the Geekoscope.
Because I wasn't going to necessarily try to steal from you, Ken. I give you the opportunity this time. I think last time I took it all. For any news stories you might have wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I've got a few from last week I'd like to go through. I've got a couple from this week, but let's just try and get through these because they're quite interesting anyway. So, Halo, the Master Chief Collection, is Reach PC Fireflight hasn't happened yet. So 343 Industries, which is, the new Halo's people, have delayed Halo Reach PC Fireflight that was originally planned for July due to severe blocking bugs, meaning that those hoping to try out the first game to be released in the upcoming Halo the Master Chief Collection for PC will have to wait a bit longer. They published a blog on HaloWaypoint.com to update Halo fans as to why the planned fighting hasn't happened yet and what the blocking bugs are. They're basically issues that are deemed severe enough to prevent a flight from functioning as needed. As development proceeds, a flighting build must pass certain tests called rings without these blocking issues before it is made available to Halo insiders. So there are 4 rings in total, and each build must pass through the first 3 rings before it's released to Halo insiders. Ring 0 is made of internal studio folks. Ring 1 is made of external partners. Ring 2 is made of even more partners of various skill sets to help test. And Ring 3 is the Halo Insider user group. So it's not getting through basically it's not getting through testing is what they're saying. They've got their own fancy words for it, right? But it's testing. So it sucks that it's taking its time, but in the end, it's better to have a finished product than not. Thank you very much to IGN for that article. I'm still super excited for Halo because I loved Halo, and I never really gave Halo Reach much of a chance. So I suppose I should be looking forward to that, I guess.
That's one of the things that I was excited with the announcement for the PC and everything until I went back on my Xbox One S and looked and said, oh, I already have the Master Chief Collection. Oops. Right, that I just didn't realize, oh, that's what I was playing before. I thought somehow it was new, not realizing that the real whole thing was just to PC. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So then I lost...
Well, that's still massive, though, right? I mean,
well, okay.
Think of all the mods that are going to come out for it.
Well, one of my challenges, and this is something that I'm still looking for from any developers... I'll be curious if it carries over anyway because I have to double check how I bought it. But Microsoft would be the one that might do this best. Is I am tired. This is a discussion I was having with one of our VTW gaming guys, Retroplay, because he is a huge advocate of any retro consoles. He does a big bit of going out there and hitting garage sales and grabbing original cartridges and things like that from old systems or old game systems themselves and stuff. Has a huge kind of library museum himself of the original consoles out there. He actually trades in them where he'll find some cheap at a garage sale, turn around and sell them to other people with knowledgeable and make some money based on the real value of the thing he finds. So he does a lot of that, right? Cool. But one of my challenges has always been that world or what it is of emulation, right? The kind of gray area level of what emulation can be. Where I think emulation is wonderful because it allows people to run similar software without the hardware constraints of having to find an original thing and maintain something that may fail over time because it literally just wears out. Basically, having access to the same license that you purchased, but just in a different form. And so one of the discussions I said is I would love to see companies have the wherewithal to stop trying to sell us the same game a million times. And I say that because one of the most notorious for me has been Nintendo, and correct me if I'm wrong, anyone out there, but right now, every time Nintendo has come out with a new console, a new device, a new whatever, and they support any kind of previous generation on it, they always charge you for access to the license for that old game again on the new system. Versus... Yep. I own the right to that license. I have bought that game. Just let me play it on every new system. I've already paid for it. Just having it coded slightly different or basically having to pay per title for essentially a couple lines of code or whatever it is as an emulator within that hardware, I feel is egregious, is wrong, and is basically fleecing people in so many ways. Because if I bought access to the original Super Mario Brothers on the original Wii when it came out, because it's linked and because we have accounts now, right? Every device you log into your account, I should be instantly able to play that same game on the Wii U. Oh, and on the Switch now that it's out. And I don't know, maybe whatever other mobile device or something comes out in the future because it has that same title. Because I've paid for the software, I have bought the hardware separately, and it takes almost zero resource to make them work together. And so that it bothers me that they sell them again, because if that were true, and yes, Kuro, you bring up Skyrim as one of the most notorious, where Bethesda said Bethesda openly said they will keep selling versions as long as people keep buying.
Right.
And
it's smart business. Why wouldn't you, right?
It is, in the sense but I have a challenge there with anyone who sits on the laurels versus making new things, right? I hate the idea that you can invent something once and be rich forever and sit on your butt and just resell access to the same thing. That bothers me forever. So in this sense, and where this came from was, yes, if Halo came out as, because I already own the full Masters, or the whole Halo set on the Xbox One, and because Microsoft has already done this with all their new games that you buy it on the Xbox or the PC and it's available on both, maybe they wouldn't, but it would be so good for me if they just, once it comes out to PC, recognize the license I already own and just make it accessible. That, to me, would be like the most, probably wrong use of term, but like woke thing a company could do. And yes, Kuro, for the history lesson of everybody, right? Oh, go ahead,
Sorry, I was gonna say, woke is more to do with being extremely liberal and
No, I think it's being aware of the world in a certain way that is modern, right? It's a modern awareness of the world, and so I would believe that any company that could understand that I've bought the license, therefore don't re-hit me up because of the nuance of it's a different system accessible to it, I'd be so happy. Yeah. And yes, Halo was originally Marathon on Mac. And if you watch the old Red vs. Blue, they harken back to that in some of the storyline in the early seasons. When I think it's, I forget which character gets sent back to the past and is actually in Marathon as like this.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, no, it's great. Good group. But anyhow, I'd be curious about. I would love to see them do the right thing and give us access to the license for people that already own it. Totally not going to happen. That's it. All right, we are at our time. I'm more than happy to go over a few moments if you want to get one more article in there or not. It's up to you, Ken.
Sure, can do. So this one is pretty interesting. Twitch office threat spurs police investigation. This is again from IGN. So SFPD is currently investigating the threat made to Twitch's headquarters. The San Francisco Police Department is investigating into a threat made against Twitch's San Francisco headquarters on Wednesday, August 7th. We are made aware of a threat against the San Francisco HQ on Tuesday, and I've been working directly with law enforcement as they investigate. Note down, you're not allowed up here. I'm here. Dumb dog. Business Insider first reported of an alleged threat against the company, alleging that employees on private social media were directed that the threat as a shooter, a potential shooter. So according to Kotaku, Twitch has asked its employees to work from home for the remainder of the day. Easy. That's the cool thing about tech, right? Oh yeah, we're still open. We're still open business, but just work from home. It's fine. Easy peasy. Sorry.
If only I was in the industry where I could remote.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's interesting.
It's concerning, and I hate that in this day. And people can how much of an effect people can have by sending a false message, right?
Yep.
You can disrupt business by doing
across the board, right? Everything from any kind of threat of violence to any of those things about false accusations of people and things like that. There's so many ways people's lives can be disrupted by somebody.
Few words can do a lot of damage.
Absolutely, and it's one of those things that I am a big advocate of. What do I want to say? Stronger laws against false claims, right? Anything where if somebody actively puts out false information to try to get something that harasses or causes something in your world, I believe that the same kind of things you would be subject to if it were true should apply to those people who do the false claims.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Absolutely. If someone accuses you of murder and you did not, to a degree, they should be almost hit with the same thing, right? Because
absolutely.
That kind of
I think that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, Kuro, you're bringing up about swatters. It is somewhat happening, at least there specifically, because that is a very new thing, which is I see someone's live stream, and therefore I call some kind of threat that causes the police to interact with that individual, usually in a very harsh way that has caused people to get shot and killed, has caused
and their dogs.
Right? All of these kind of things is so disruptive to a person's life that it's not just a inconvenience, right? This is a significant no crap thing. I have no patience. You could
kill someone.
Yes. Yeah. No patience for it. And so with that, I am so happy to see that we've had more and more law enforcement and prosecution go against those people that are doing the false claims and have their people that are now imprisoned for doing swatting things, for false claiming crime. And I would like to see that extended because I think that should be a solid deterrent. And I think it's something that is unfortunately a product of a society we have right now in a lot of countries where not enough consequence to action is taught. And you have too many people that are trying to protect people that are growing up to not realize that, yes, as an adult, when you're out in the real world or just in general, when you affect others, there are consequences to your actions. And sometimes those consequences are harsh because that would be a better deterrent, right? Instead of people thinking that they can get away with anything, be violent, not know how to handle real life, hey, let your kids fail and let them teach that it's not the end of the world.
I struggle with it because I agree with the concept and emotionally I agree. Logically, I'm also aware that it's more likely it's a simpler thing to solve is somebody wanting to do prank calls and not realizing it's a problem than somebody actually wanting to kill somebody, right?
Oh, absolutely.
In that example.
Absolutely. But in the thing of something where there's a big difference, right? And this is where I want more people to understand consequence to action. There are different consequences to prank calling someone and creating a bit of an annoyance or harassment there to getting law enforcement involved in someone's life. Those are very different things, right? Calling someone and saying, hey, you be ugly there or something, right? Spelling out a name so someone says something funny over an intercom is far different than saying there's some viable threat that somebody has caused harassment and is kidnapped or something like that, and therefore the cops need to bust in and potentially kill someone. Those are very different extremes on a scale.
That's very true. Yeah.
And so that's where again, I think at the low end, just as kids are being raised in society and society in general needs to be more accepting of consequence to action, meaning, hey, if your kid comes home with bad grades, maybe it's not the teacher's fault. Maybe your kid did something wrong and they need to be schooled on that and address that issue, and maybe your kid actually does need to be corrected. Maybe your kid's not an angel. Maybe they're an ass. And accept that and give them consequences for that to hopefully change that behavior. Soapbox, Wayne, I understand, but I think it leads to so much of what we see, how people are reacting to situations in the world. And I stand by that. I would love for someone to show me how I'm wrong on that one, because I've yet to see an example that tells me that it's not back to people not respecting consequence to action. So,
well, I would say the main reason is that some people don't realistically see there being a consequence, especially if they're going to get away with it. If you're reporting something online or whatever and it's anonymously and you do it through a proxy, you probably think you're going to get away with it, especially if you don't understand much about computing science, right?
As Kuro's saying there about telecons being able to more easily track down callers and such.
Oh, easy, yeah, it's easy, right? It's no problem nowadays. If they really want to, they can put the resources behind it, and they will if they feel they need to.
Well, and I will say, this is the actual one. So thank you, Kuro, for the link there, saying, because most recently the swatted one is the kid who just won, what, $2 million or something it was for Fortnite? $3 million. Who won $3 million as the Fortnite champ, that he was just targeted for swatting.
Oh, what a shame.
Well, again, it goes back to WTF, you self-centered, ignorant a-holes out there in the world who think that it's somehow right, appropriate, or good, or funny to screw someone's life like that. Right? I hope you absolutely get smacked.
Jealous, right?
It is. It's jealousy. It's, I think I'm that good. It's, I don't know all of the reasons that people come up with some reason that they feel the need to go out and negatively impact someone's life like that, right? If it's just they think it's funny, or if it's they somehow think they're justified in it, I don't get it. I think it's garbage. And I hope the people that create that false things get prosecuted, found, and hurt to every, extent of the law, because I want others to understand that there are consequences to doing those false things in the world. It's terrible. So yeah, I believe in consequence to action. So anyhow, that takes me even further over it. I'll try not to sit on that soapbox, but I appreciate that, Kuro, letting us see that as it's very cognizant of what we were just dealing with. And not seeing the audio on this or anything, but just seeing some of the video that's coming from the link you sent from Inside Edition. If the person they showed was the one who did it, that is not a child who did that. That was someone older. And so...
Oh, yeah. I expect that's pretty common as well. It will mostly be adults doing this kind of thing.
Which... Ooh.
Yeah.
So, I really hope whoever swatted him gets smacked.
Yeah.
Ooh. Anyhow. All right.
I get that. I feel that.
Yeah, so I'll get over that one off my soapbox for the moment on that, because, man, such terrible folks.
All right. So, are you going to take part in the game tonight, sir?
I'm going to jump on afterwards. Admittedly, I've got multiple things I'm doing, but I'll definitely be on the chat. So for anybody who'd like to join us in the Discord, come find us at the VTW Discord, VTW Gaming Discord, and we are happy to chat with you after the show. Join in with us, jump in some games with us, follow up on what we've been talking about, anything you'd like to do. It's where our community likes to hang out when we're done with the show. So we'd love to see you in the Discord. If you don't have the details, please just message us, and we will invite you in. It's a place that, by the way, we maintain so that all of you can game together. And so if you have friends and all want to jump in and talk right now, if you were to go in and see that there's been a resurgence of No Man's Sky since they came out with the latest 2.0 upgrade, and it includes VR support now. We currently have 5 people in the No Man's Sky chat alone just hanging out and playing together. People you know like Roxy and Tabby, Tabaxian and such, and some of their friends. So we always have people in there. El Campo is playing some Rainbow Six, things like that. But we make different channels for all the games that you might love, including places just to hang out, as well as share your geekdom. So feel free to jump in our Discord and play along. It's Versus the World, VTW, for our Discord. Also, Ken, I'll let you finish out with all the rest of the details, and then I will see you in the Discord after this.
Yes, you will. You'll be listening to Show X live on Twitch, on YouTube, and elsewhere. Thank you so much for listening in. You can send us an emails to showx@vtwproductions.com. You can tweet us, which is twitter.com/VTWShowX, twitter.com/DocDead, and twitter.com/GoHex for the show, for Mr. Wayne, for myself. You can find us on Facebook. Search for Show X there, and you can like our page and see all the memes we post, the news, whatever else. Mostly Star Trek memes, to be honest. Nobody's lying here. You can support us on patreon.com/showx. That's always appreciated. Minimum of $1 per month. And make sure you also follow us on Twitch. That was much appreciated as well. We like to get likes and such. Take part in the discussion on reddit.com/r/showx there as well. Every single episode is posted there by default. Every single YouTube link is there. You can go comment on it and discuss as you please. So thank you so much for the taking part in the show today, folks. And thank you so much for hosting for today as well, Mr. Wayne.
Always good time to have you, Ken. Good time to see all you guys in the chat today. And we will catch you next week. So with that, you've been listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com. And we are out of here. Have a good time.
You've been listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com. See you next zombie!